In this video, we are going to go over the historical negatives and positives of legalizing the grass, and in no way am I encouraging any of the actions in this video. I am purely presenting you the facts in an educational and entertaining way, so you may come to your own subjective conclusion on if you support legalization or not. So YouTube, please, I'm just a stickman trying to educate the public using historical data of states and countries that have legalized to see how their economy, crime rate, and other important categories were affected. Have you ever thought, man, why don't you just legalize Global Edition already? Cause I mean, design never hurt nobody, I think. I mean, look at Bob Marley, the legendary peace icon. He was blasted 24/7, smoking up every day on that fine Jamaican soul-bonded baba. Okay, but like, there's gotta be some bad stuff too. I mean, it can't be that like, if I had magical powers and I could just swipe my hand and legalize everywhere, things would be perfect. Come on, bro. We were supposed to go hit the Rainbow Ferry road waves today with our advanced futuristic surfboards that hover and shit. Cause don't you remember? You legalized bro. Nah. Doesn't legal increase the number of homeless and like make people get psychosis and stuff more often? So it is true, Canada mental health ER visits are up after legalization, especially for anxiety and psychosis and people binging high tea wax like it was oxygen. Okay, well that's not really that bad. I mean, like, yeah, duh, that would happen. What about the important stuff though? Teen use didn't really go up, violent crime didn't explode, in some places it even dropped, tax revenue held low, infrastructure funding and school programs, jail time for a nug in your sock, gone in most places where it's legal. Well, okay, but so why can't I just light up a morning doozy in Singapore without being guillotined in the afternoon? Because countries are afraid of psychosis headlines, of violating UN treaties written in 1961 by people who thought jazz was dangerous, of their pharma and alcohol lobbies crying in their yachts due to lower sales, and also because Stone Surfer Utopia doesn't look that good on a re-election campaign. Oh. Well, yeah, that actually kind of makes sense. So now you understand the reality of why we won't, or I'd even say can't be legal everywhere, even if logically the positives outweigh the negatives, making it seem like a no-brainer. More jobs, increased economy, increased tourism, but also decreased prestige and honor, I guess. I mean, imagine weed was legal to smoke in Japan. I think I'd view the entire country differently. Maybe not worse, but just like more chill, which more chill isn't exactly the vibe every country wants to go for. But the real issue with legalizing is doing it right, which requires the government to basically launch a new industry and a government agency at the same time. You need good and enforced regulations and age limits, product testing, sales tracking, THC caps, zoning laws for dispensaries, tax structures, marketing restrictions, public education campaigns, and a hotline for when a high schooler eats 100 milligrams by mistake. And quite frankly, most governments are too inexperienced and old school to even think of doing all that shit, when they most likely have other, way bigger problems to deal with the obvious exception being the US because of how much variation there is between political ideals and landscapes from state to state. Drive up to California and you'll find the best bud anywhere in the world. Everybody's high, vibing, not a care in the world except paying your rent, of course. Now drive down to Texas, rent's cheaper, but you'll be executed before you're even able to light your bro. There's also the what ifs. What if teens start doing nothing but vaping strawberry in the school bathroom? What if a bus driver eats a brownie and forgets how buses work? What if people get too chill and stop going to war? Which, especially for countries in geopolitically tense locations like, I don't know, the ones bordering Russia, they probably don't want to start the next peace and love wave anytime soon, cause, I mean... But there's also a lot of countries where it's just about traditions. The idea that weed is a sign of mental decline is just embedded so deeply in some cultures that promising to legalize weed would make you seem incompetent or like a prophesized demon plotting the downfall of the country, bruh.
Ikisuki desu masuta. Anata wa kowarete imasu.
You say what, bruh?
それはとても残念です。
But one thing that legal absolutely does though is spike your country's economy like a crypto pump. Since only 5% of countries in the world have legal weed, with an extra 25% having it decriminalized, tourists like myself, which I doubt that I'm alone on this, basically only want to visit countries where they can get faded. It's a no-brainer if you enjoy indulging in that broccoli, man. Would you rather go to a tropical paradise with beautiful sunsets, gnarly waves, and a rich culture like Bali, for example, or a place with all that along with legal weed like Phuket? I know which one I'm choosing personally. You don't only boost your economy by reclaiming a large portion of the market away from illegal dealers, but also by inviting tourists to come and splurge money in your country while being blasted 24/7. Yet now we arrive back to the traditions and respect factor. Not all countries want the economic boost enough where they'd allow a bunch of stoner dudes from all around the world to come in and disturb their way of life. But from the perspective of a stoner dude who enjoys disturbing the McDonald's employees at 3 a.m., what are some of the best countries to visit for legal anyway, bruh? Well, the US is great, Thailand is nice, the Netherlands is always a banger. Honestly, there's enough variety already where you won't really feel the need to go anywhere where you can't smoke, cause basically every biome has a legal country nowadays. And if you're in the US, it's even easier because of how varying every state is and, you know, the whole thing. But what are some of the countries you should never ever visit if you want to smoke up with alternatives? Well, never go to Dubai, China, Philippines, really anywhere near Asia except Thailand. So Thailand is really the only option for getting Zaza near Asia. Don't go to Italy, go to Spain. They have social clubs that are basically like a mix of a dispensary and a coffee shop. Speaking of coffee shops, the Netherlands has the best in the world, and although now legal in Germany too, without a medical card you won't be getting any, so stick to Amsterdam. Want to go to Slovakia, Serbia, Bulgaria? Oh yeah, no one goes there, forgot. For South America, there's a lot of choice actually. Argentina, Brazil, Chile, Colombia, and many more. Although I've never been to South America personally, I'm sure they got some fire Zaza myths. Grass cap, lettuce slice, call it what you want. Anyway, today we're going to go over the most common misconceptions about the magic green plant, which I'm willing to bet that you've fallen for at least once. Yes, you, Mr. Bro, this pack tested at 38%, so I'm basically entering another dimension. Okay, if you say so. So, how is it? Well, I'm I guess. Mouth is really dry though. It kinda tastes like dirt. Certified exotic! So, for the sake of education and science, we are going to go over every Zaza myth from funny to dumb to dangerous, so the populace may have a better understanding of the magic green plant and avoid the risks they were subject to before. Whether you're a seasoned lettuce enjoyer or a rookie roller, these myths have been floating around since the dawn of the genity. People walk into dispensaries like they're buying a protein shake. And what's the strongest thing you got? 35%? Give me that! Sure, percentage does play a role in how high you get. It's kind of the main character, but the number on the jar doesn't tell the whole story. You could blaze something labeled 33% and feel absolutely nothing but dry mouth and disappointment. Meanwhile, something with 17% might have you reconsidering your life choices mid-snack. Why? Because there's more to the plant than just a number. How it was grown, how fresh it is, what it smells like, all that matters. Some packs hit because they're balanced, not because they're built like a calculator. Also, quick reality check, those percentages not always real. Growers know people chase high numbers, so they send the frostiest, most photogenic nug to the lab. They don't send the potentially dry, crusty stuff you actually get in the jar. So what you're really buying is lab-tested optimism. Think of it like this, choosing based on percentage is like choosing music based on how loud it is. Just because it's loud doesn't mean it's good. Then again, if you have a favorite song and you play it louder, it's gonna hit better, if you get what I'm saying. Usually, you want something that doesn't just blast you, you want something that actually feels right. So yeah, the number matters a little to the extent that a 6% pack is going to be mellow and anything between 15 to 25% is going to hit normal. But beyond that, it's just marketing. So don't let it trick you into thinking you're buying magic. Otherwise, you'll keep paying $60 for mid in a shiny bag. Which next one is something I believed in myself up until just a few months ago. Indica equals chill, equals energy. Put you in the couch, bro. Get you creative and energized. Yeah, not exactly, at least anymore. That whole equals sleepies equals Zoom thing is Zaza astrology. It sounds deep until you realize it's mostly vibes and guesswork. Back in the day, indica and sativa meant something botanically, like plant shape and how tall it grows. But now, after decades of crossbreeding, everything is basically a smoothie. You're not smoking a pure sativa, you're smoking some hybrid mutant with 6 parents and a confusing childhood. You might get an that makes you vacuum your room at 3 a.m. or but it has you melted into the couch watching YouTube documentaries about ants. It's not about the label, it's about how your brain reacts to whatever is actually in the flower. Also, most of these strain labels are just marketing now. The same lemon blaster you buy in LA might be a completely different plant than the lemon blaster from your guy in Detroit. But they both swear it's sativa because the bag is yellow and has lightning bolts on it. To be fair though, you do have a higher probability of getting a chiller vibe with indica and more of an active vibe with sativa, just that it's not always the case, and a lot of times an indica strain can make you just as productive as with sativa. A lot of it is also just in your head. Like, if you're a daily smoker and smoke sativa during the day and indica at night, you're gonna feel like you're more productive with sativa because every time you use it, you actually plan on doing stuff, compared to indica where you plan on, well, just hanging around. But this next one might be the most dangerous misconception out of them all, and that is, you can't overdose on grass. Ah yes, the ultimate stoner defense mechanism. You can't overdose on Zaza, bro. It's impossible. It's natural. Chill out. Technically, yeah, you're not gonna flatline from lettuce. There's no grass version of the he took too many and never woke up story. But let's not pretend you can't go way past the point of good vibes into I'm dying, call my mom territory. You can green out, you can white out, you can throw up, panic, forget your name, think you're in a dream, and try to call 911 on yourself using a TV remote. But sure, not an overdose, just a deeply humbling spiritual reset. It usually goes like this. You take an edible and it's not hitting, so you take more. Then about 45 minutes later, your soul leaves your body and watches you pet your wall for emotional support. Congratulations, you're not dead, but you are definitely not okay. So no, you won't overdose in the technical sense, but if your definition of overdose includes uncontrollable sweating, time dilation, thinking you're stuck in a loop, and trying to breathe manually, then yes, you very much can overdose on Zaza. Especially with long-term heavy use, which can cause psychosis. So just because it's a plant and there's that famous fact of like, oh, you need to smoke 200 pounds of Zaza to overdose, doesn't mean you shouldn't be mindful of your consumption, which kind of takes us to grass makes you lazy. My teacher once told me, boy, you smoke too much of that lettuce, you'll never do anything with your life. Meanwhile, there are programmers, artists, chefs, and athletes out here doing their taxes while baked off their mind on something called
purple monkey dirt nugs.
Let's be clear, Zaza doesn't make you lazy, you make you lazy. Grass just lowers the volume on your internal monologue enough for you to enjoy doing nothing. If you were already a couch potato before, sure, lettuce might just butter you up and serve you to the couch gods. But some people take a hit and immediately get the sudden urge to deep clean their bathroom or organize their sock drawer by emotional trauma. The truth is, how you react depends on your brain, your tolerance, and whether you just hit something calming or smoked a strain called Nightmare Jetpack. Also, not all laziness is bad. Sometimes the reason people seem lazy after smoking is because their brain finally isn't on fire and they're just chilling for the first time in days. That's not laziness. That's peace, baby. So no, Zaza doesn't make you lazy. Being a human in late-stage capitalism does. Grass might just make it more comfortable to stop pretending you're okay with it. It's just a plant, so it's always safe. This one's popular with people who think putting a leaf emoji next to anything instantly makes it healthy. Bro, it's natural. It's from the earth. You can't get hurt by something nature made. Okay, cool. So are poison ivy, nightshade, and grizzly bears. Nature doesn't care about your vibes. Nature is not your plug. Yes, lettuce is a plant. So is hemlock, so is ayahuasca. That doesn't mean you should roll it up and smoke it every morning like it's a spiritual multivitamin. Natural doesn't mean harmless. It just means it didn't come from a lab this time. Now, for most people, grass is relatively safe, but let's not pretend it's some invincible superfood. You can still develop tolerance, mess up your sleep, get dependent on it to function, have a panic attack mid-cartoon, or blast off into a full psychotic break if you overdo it for too long. And let's be honest, most people aren't smoking pure organic, forest-grown artisanal flower, they're ripping mystery carts from some guy called Seke with a shoebox business model. Even flour itself isn't always clean. It can have mold, pesticides, or be so dry it turns to dust if you breathe on it wrong. So yeah, it's a plant, but that doesn't make it invincible, perfect, or immune to consequences. You could take a salad and turn it into a problem if you tried hard enough. Bottom line, lettuce can be chill, but like anything else, too much of it too often with no self-awareness equals problems. And saying it's natural won't help you when you're halfway through a green out wondering if your dog is judging you.
You know, back in the day, if you wanted to get high discreetly, sorry bro, there was no way. I mean, you got the J, which stanks up everything. You got the bong, which although doesn't stank as much, where you gonna hide it? Imagine trying to sneak by your parents on some... What you doing dropping shit at a time like this, boy? Downstairs, I came for, I came down, I wanted a glass of water, yeah. Boy, you must be neurologically disabled if you think that'll excuse you from breaking some dusty-ass dollar store piece and spilling bong water all over my goddamn living room. No, it's... Here, take a smack of this shit. It'll get you proper, boy. Well, that sounds like a pretty fun... Anyway, point is, you're not gonna be hiding that shit for long. Only real option you had was the pipe. But bro, at that point, you sacrificing everything you got for one high. Like, I swear, the pipe is the last way anybody in their right mind wants to get faded. Every time I hit it, it's like my lungs and throat revert back to factory settings. Like I ain't never inhaled anything besides O2 before. Basically, by smacking the pipe, you're hurting your lungs and throat to the point it kind of fucks up the first 30 minutes of your high. And that's exactly why when the first Pendulum was invented by the scientists at Yodiland, it changed the game, bruh. Never before could you get obliterated on the go regardless of where you were or what you were doing. And thanks to that, getting high has become so damn easy, you got motherfuckers making obliteration their normal state. Never before could someone do anything even remotely sus and you could just assume they were fucking high. My man had sunglasses on for no reason, faded. Dude was staring somewhere for a bit too long, obliterated. Dude went to White Castle for a culinary experience. Well, that motherfucker's just weird. Goddamn cafeteria food. And you can forget about gas stations and fast food places. I mean, at this point, it's like damn near mandatory to be blasted on the job. And I got nothing against that, just since 90% of the time I find myself at 7-Eleven, I'm fried too. And the motherfucker that's supposed to be helping me is trying to scan my items with his damn iPhone. Nah, but for real, the pace that these fried motherfuckers work at is fine when your brain is running at the same low frequency, but if you're in a rush, it'll take damn near every ounce of mental strength you got to stop yourself from forcing a damn self-checkout.
Would you like a bag with that, sir?
Fuck no, here's the money, just give me my shit. But don't get me wrong, I got nothing against a good old Pendulum. There really ain't a better on-the-go, fast and easy way to get faded. Unfortunately, I didn't go to college and kinda cheated my way through high school too, so the 15 or so brain cells I was able to develop that keep me from losing and forgetting shit turned into, well, basically zero. And for that reason, I've already lost 2 of them. One of them slipped out my pocket while I was at the movies, and I'm pretty sure some teenagers stole it, cause after the film, when I was looking for it with my flashlight and shit, these motherfuckers were giggling in the back, looking at me like I was a damn circus clown. Coupled with the fact I was fried as fuck, I was fighting my tears. Dog. I just got robbed by some damn teens and I can't even do shit cause it was illegal to even bring it in there. Second one I lost in a very similar manner. As I was getting out my Uber going back home, my sweatpants did me dirty and flinged that fucker out as I was standing up. Took me 2 minutes to realize, and when I did, my Uber driver was probably already hitting that shit cause when I called him back to ask for it, he said,
Let me check. It seems that you only left me a $1 tip. Sorry, I couldn't find it.
And that one hurt the most because that was the first pen I ever had and the one I used for my first Pendulum adventure, which my first time was, well, by far the highest I have ever been in my life. I'm talking freaky, I'm talking third person. Shit, it was the first time in years I truly greened the thaw out. For you see, normal weed or bud is just that, normal. So the strength of it is confined in the realms of reality, unless you know it, it's moon rock. Anyway,
Anyway, the biggest difference between smacking a pen versus, let's say, a J is that the pen doesn't have normal bud in it. It has concentrate, which, if you're unaware like I was, is about 10 to 20 times stronger than bud. Knowing that, the best way to get faded off the pen is by just taking small rips to avoid getting sent into the goddamn shadow realm. For example, the YouTuber DamianLuck925 is very well known for taking multiple blinkers, which is the biggest hit you can take, outside in social situations, most notably in random classrooms, like it's nothing. So me being at my USA Airbnb alone in the confines of my living room, thought to myself, okay, so it looks like the basic hit I should do at least is one blinker, but probably more. Yet what was waiting for me on the other side of Blinker City was something I was not prepared for. Something unholy. The voices. I'll never forget the horrible things they were whispering. They made me almost delete my YouTube channel. Anyway, it started with me ordering a 1-gram pen off of Weed Amazon, and it arrived the very next day in a beat-up Cadillac with a delivery man who, from the looks of it, tests out every product he delivers just, to make sure the quality is there. Yo, bro, you're here for the weed, right? You got the cash? Yeah, I ordered through your website, though. It should be paid for already. Yeah, I forgot I'd take online orders now, too. Anyway, here's the stuff, bro. I trust you. Hey, thanks, bro. Have a good one. You too, man. Hello, Mr. Bro. We got a delivery for you from Weed Amazon that should be arriving in an hour or so. Will you be home then?
Wait, didn't I just...
I'm a gorilla in a fucking scoop. Gonna pull up to the zoo.
Oh, I better get out of here.
So I went back to the crib, Benjamin in hand, and prepared myself to get faded. And obviously, I went for a blinker, my very first hit. But since I had never smacked a pen before, I inhaled it for about 4 seconds and stopped because it was so light on my throat, I thought it wasn't working, but it actually was. And from that 4-second puff, I was already quite bamboozled. But since I have this weird rule of every time I get new stuff, I break it in by doing a massive hit, I thought, well, fuck. I was supposed to do a blinker, and went for it again. I inhaled and inhaled for a good 8 to 10 seconds, but the thing just wouldn't fucking blink. It got to the point where there was tears coming from my eyes and my throat was begging me to stop, and it ended up like... I had made a grave mistake. I was so fucking high, I felt my soul leave my body. I was so high, I forgot I was even high. But it was just the beginning, cause over the next 10 minutes, I just kept on getting more faded, and the demons in my head kept on getting louder and louder. But if you know me, I kinda refused to green out, so I just kept on doing random shit like reading the ingredients list off my bag of M&Ms, reading the comments on my videos.
Change that far glow. Do things has changed for real. Imagine copying another YouTuber.
Kill yourself. Was not doing good. I was keeping a strong facade, but inside there was a war going on. I was feeling like Naruto with the 9 tails, only instead of an all-powerful destructive force talking to me, I was just really fucking high. Anyway, so yeah, I was grading out, which hadn't happened to me in years, and I concluded that because the voice of reason was completely being outspoken by the voice of tweaking. The good news is though, the hype from the Benjamin doesn't last too long, and in about 1 to 2 hours, I had started coming down, but at that point, I was already crawled up in my bed, scrolling endlessly on my phone, until I finally reached a state where I felt good enough to come out of emergency mode and order some food and ate myself into a food coma. So I learned, well, firstly, that motherfucker Fulcrum is actually insane, or his tolerance is just something else, bro, and that the Benjamin is best enjoyed in puffs of 3 to 5 seconds and not blink.
The Plug, a holy being that will always be there for you, especially when you don't need him, and also occasionally when you do. And because I don't live in the fancy America, where all the big vloggers and TikTokers are, I still rely on the Plug for my Zaza. But after years of buying from different plugs, I always wondered how much money do these guys actually make, and what are the requirements to be successful in the profession? Well, finally, after the introduction of a new, scientifically enhanced type of grass, HHC, I kinda got the answer to these questions, and I'ma be honest with you, it ain't what I expected. As I said before, it all started with the introduction of the so-called new and improved Zaza, HHC. And because it was new and regulations had not been set, even in my Stone Age country where an 18-year-old can buy a liter of vodka and drink himself to death, Or just get hammered and get the sudden urge to call out the 6'5" undefeated heavyweight MMA fighter at the club because, well, when he sees red, bodies start dropping. Anyway, since this was legal and I am a law-abiding citizen who wouldn't even dare to jaywalk, I thought to myself, this is the perfect moment to see what being the plug is all about. Furthermore, because most dudes in this country don't know anything about strains, hash, bud, and just take whatever the plug has, I didn't need to worry about people thinking I scammed them. Also, your boy conducted a thorough inspection of this new product using only the most delicate and scientific tools possible. Oh, okay, I hit that shit through a Red Bull canning. It kicked pretty nicely, so I dubbed it Verified Lab. After securing half an ounce of the Verified Lab, which is 14 grams in European tongue, I went to work on finding customers. And obviously the best place to start is on Snapchat. So I took a picture of the Zaza with the caption, 15 bucks per gram, hit me up. Which is a steal because, well, it sold for 20 a G here. And unfortunately, I only got one sale cause I guess most of the people who I knew smoke Verified Lab were plugs themselves and knew of the existence of HHC and that it's like 6 bucks a gram. But I was still determined to flip them packs and make them racks. So I hit up the most trustworthy plug I knew who actually had people in his contacts who smoked Verified Lab, but were not in the business of trapping themselves. After a thorough business meeting where we may or may not have smoked the grass ourselves, he conducted that the gas I had was indeed worthy of the title Verified Lab and offered to buy it all for 12 bucks a gram, which I mean, I got it for 8.5, so I obviously said yes. At first I thought that was all. I made a nice profit of about 40 bucks and was feeling good. But after about 2 days, I got a message from the plug I conducted business with reading, "Bro, that shit sold out quick. Can you order more? I think I can actually sell this stuff for 25 a G, cause people want the same stuff real bad." Now, I think you are currently pondering two questions. Why didn't he just order more himself? And how the hell did these dudes not know it was HHC? Well, the reason he didn't order more himself is quite simple. He is a full-time OG plug, so dudes does not have a bank account to order stuff. And to answer the second question, I truly don't know. I couldn't really believe it myself, but I guess most stoners really don't give a fuck about news and staying up to date with it. In the words of the great plug himself, these dudes just wanna get as up as possible. They don't know nothing about no THC, HHC, CBD, BBC, NBA, MMA, nothing. Anyway, it all sounds great, right? Everybody loves the Verified Lab and are willing to pay premium for it. Plus, it's all technically legal and I don't even need to sell it myself. Well, it would have been, but there were two problems that made it a bit more sketch. You see, the issue with HHC is that it's a chemically produced product. All it actually is THC with a couple extra hydrogen molecules. And through thorough research, both practical and scientifical, I found out that HHC is very unstable in nature, meaning one patch of the same strain can truly be Verified Lab. But then the next patch made with the exact same Za and same way could be some whack leftover Reggie. It's because it's very hard to control how well this hydrogen molecule binds to the THC, and not financially worth it to control the potency of each patch. So you could order that shit once and get some damn moon rock, or like the first experience I had with HHC, get some damn oregano. And the second problem was the plug I was conducting business with didn't want that risk all to himself, so I would have to cover the upfront costs of the HHC and then give it to him where he would hopefully flip it for 25 bucks a G, which I would receive 15 bucks a G and him 10. So here I was with quite the pickle of a conundrum. Should I order a whole ounce of HHC, which by buying an ounce you get the best price per gram, but I risk it being whack Reggie? Or should I just order a fourth, therefore lowering the risk of getting whack product, but also lowering the profit margins? And the conclusion I arrived at was the best of both worlds. I ordered half an ounce just like before. After receiving the good, I gave half of it to the trustworthy OG plug and waited for that passive income to roll in. But unfortunately, it was as I feared. The stuff I got this time was still good and solid, but it just wasn't the verified loud I received before. So the OG plug was having trouble marketing it as premium Za and lowered the price to the industry standard 20 bucks a G. But unfortunately, dudes were catching on as well, and some of them refused to buy the Za cause they could just order it online. Like, yeah, you can, but wouldn't you rather buy from your friendly neighborhood plug? I guess not, cause after a couple days, the OG plug sent me another message. Yo, this stuff ain't moving like before, and people catching on about the origins. I have half of the stuff left. If you want, I'll buy it out for 10 bucks a G, or just return it to you. Which I hesitantly chose the first option, so I had him just buy it out. Yet there was still the issue of the 7 Gs or so I had left, which I initially planned on flipping, but was unfortunately unable to, cause mofos knew I got that shit for pennies compared to the asking price. So I did as old plugs would do and dubbed the leftover HHC as my personal stash, and just started blazing my own product, which was kinda stupid in hindsight because a couple weeks after, HHC was illegalized, as we all knew it would be, and became a rarity in the Za industry. Which mofo started flipping that shit for 30 bucks a G, like goddamn, it ain't even that different from normal Za. Anyway, by the end of it all, I made a bit under $100 in profit, or in another metric, about 10 Gs of Za, which I smoked myself. So really the conclusion to my plugging experience was I got free grass, which was a bit underwhelming cause I was hoping to become the local Pablo Escobar, if you know what I mean. Moral of the story is don't get high off your own supply, or at least if you want to be a businessman. Oh, and also don't sell illegal things, cause well, this HHC was legal, so I could have technically flipped it on Facebook Marketplace or something.
Sunrock, the most powerful grass that humanity has ever conjured up, with even its less potent relative Moonrock being so extreme that
Moonrock is too
says
much,
it's
dog.
too much. And since I had once already traveled to the moon and made it back alive, barely, I saw it only fitting for me to conquer the sun as
The
well.
ultimate is sun.
But unlike last time, where I was in Amsterdam with my brother and had the comfort of tweaking together, this time I was alone, nearly 6,000 miles away from home, in the city of sin, Las Vegas, Nevada. The story kicks off a couple days after I had hit my first blinker and discovered a new realm of high. You know, kinda like Columbus when he discovered America, but unlike Columbus who annihilated the indigenous people, I was annihilating the Zaza, you know, blah, blah, blah. Anyway, after seeing firsthand what the land of the free can offer in terms of getting obliterated beyond the realms of Mother Nature, I was quite intrigued. So out of curiosity, I decided to Google strongest weed you can get in Las Vegas, just in case there was something more potent than Moonrock, which up until this point I thought was the pinnacle of bud. So after stumbling upon an article comparing the rocks from the moon and sun, I realized that in my ignorance I had crowned a false king, and the only deserving punishment for a big smarty pants weed stickman YouTuber like myself was to feel the full wrath of the true strongest weed in the universe. I hopped on the local Las Vegas weed dispensary site in hopes of having it delivered to me like the Benjamin, but either due to current weather conditions or just a delivery man greening the fuck out, it said, "We are currently not providing deliveries." But for the time being, I had no other choice than to leave my apartment and go to the closest dispensary in hopes of them having this exotic nug in stock. Only problem was that it was night and well, your boy wasn't exactly staying at Caesar's Palace, so as I was preparing to go outside in the dark, where, mind you, I saw a guy walking around wearing a safety vest, rocking a handlebar mustache, and carrying a double-barrel shotgun the night before, I just had to take a quick rip from the bong to make it a high story, you know?
Okay, 2 miles that way. Wish I had a car. Guess I'll just run. Fucking bullshit.
A few minutes later.
Hello, sir? Oh yeah, hello. You guys have something called Sunrock? It's like, nope. Just sold the last stock. Those guys bought it. We got Moonrock, though. No, I've already done that. You know where I can get some Sunrocks, though? Yeah, the store a mile from here should have some left. Okay, yeah, thank you.
A few minutes later.
Sorry, I gotta see your passport first, bruh.
No, but this is like my government-issued ID, can you—
Look, I'm sorry. We have a lot of people visiting from banana republics these days, and we can't start selling to everybody with a rinky-dinky, "this is a real country, Google it," ID card. Come back with a passport and I'll hook you up.
I'm not from Banana Republic. We made Skype.
We made Skype.
Hello there.
Yes, I had to now walk back 3 miles, get my passport, walk another 3 to get the Sunrock, and then walk another 3 back home. And mind you, I had already ran 3 miles too. So you know, of course, cause your boy fast as ball, quick as an electrical jolt, I got an Uber back home. But now I was fresh again, so of course I put on my Space Jams and I got an Uber. But then when I was there and showed my passport, received my $80 weed, I was not trying to get robbed on the walkway filled with homeless camps and Las Vegas fiends, so I got an Uber. Finally, after wasting a week's transportation budget in 40 minutes, I was back in my apartment, Sunrock in hand and rolling papers in my pockets. And yes, unlike last time with the Moonrock, I wasn't about to smack that shit from my bong and get assimilated. Cause from the blinker I had done a couple days back, I learned my lesson about concentrate. Do not underestimate it. So I rolled me up a Slimmy Slimmer, basically a very small J. And something you might not know is that with these caviar nugs like Sunrock, you're not really supposed to grind them with a regular grinder, so I just used my fingers to break the nug apart, and because of that, well, let's just say the airflow on this J was god awful. Later on I would find out you're not supposed to smoke Sunrock from a J at all, but hey, you live and you learn. Anyway, I went to my patio and attempted to light this abomination, and I mean, it really was. Imagine taking some A4 Wagyu steak and serving it in a dirty bucket, but alas, I still the first puff, yes, the goddamn first puff got me drafted in a galactic war against the Matrix. And I think that had to do with the fact that Jay only had like 3 puffs in it, because I was basically just smoking straight nugs. But I decided for the legacy of CBD, bro, I shall do another puff. The French Revolution, the Napoleonic Wars, the moon landing, the splitting of the atom, the theory of relativity, it all flashed before my eyes because I now saw the world from an interstellar position. And I would love to say I now went on some grand adventure and discovered the Holy Grail with some Las Vegas crackheads, but this was different. The high was spent glued to my couch, wondering the meaning of the universe and how I had traveled 6,000 miles across the ocean and was now sitting on a couch in some random Airbnb completely and utterly blasted beyond human understanding. After about 15 minutes of doing literally nothing but staring at my wall, I decided to watch some YouTube and found this guy called Oversimplified who makes these historical animation videos and spent a good portion of my high learning about the history of our world. Too bad I don't remember a goddamn thing, but at the time I felt like I was really becoming a damn scholar. I guess the lessons and memories of that high are waiting for me once I return to the land of the sun.
Where am I?
Man, I told you not to smoke that Sunrock. You stuck on the sun now, fool, with the rest of us.
No! Oh, no, wait, that was just a dream. Damn, I'm fucked up.
Yeah, bro. You were in a hell of a kush coma.
Yeah, I guess I was.
Wait! Bro, I got stuck in a kush coma, my dudes. Shit was crazy, and I don't actually remember the exact dreams I saw, but they were pretty trippy, and it was one of those Inception things that had me waking up from a dream into another dream, son. Safe to say, I had gotten assimilated. But it was kind of nice, because it was a real clear high without anxiety, which usually when you get that obliterated, it always comes accompanied with just a little bit of anxiety at least. So, are Sunrocks stronger than Moonrocks? Yes, but the main thing I took from this high was that they also kinda better, but I mean, I've only done both once, so
Buying from the plug is always an experience, cause unless you're super tight with him, you never know if you're gonna get the leftover oregano Reggie pack he scraped from the bottom of his grinder, or if you lucky and the RNG god smile upon you, you might just get the finest organic grass-fed grass there is on planet Earth. But alas, most plugs keep that quality stuff for only the loyalist of customers or new buyers. For me, it was the latter. It begins with me and the main homie Salamander. We had just gotten home from school on a Friday and had scraped our money together for a night of hitting the Spliffington and playing video games. Now, usually it was Salamander who secured the bag, cause I didn't really have too many connects. Unfortunately, this time he was unable to find the Holy Saw from his usual catalog of plugs. But we didn't let that discourage us, cause we knew if there is a will, there is a way. So both me and Salamander started hitting up everybody we knew who dabbled with the powers of the green plant, and it wasn't looking too good. Altogether, we wrote about 10 people, half of which just ignored us, and the other half just said they were out. So, as we sat there on the couch, hope dwindling, sadness emerging, and worst of all, no Zaza approaching, we were about to call it a day, when one of the dudes who had initially ignored us sent out a beacon of light. Yeah, I know a guy. He just started plugging, so I can't vouch for the quality, but he definitely got some. Now, if you've ever been in a situation like this, you know it is one of the best feelings in the world when you've almost given up, but in the last second, you get that holy text of, yeah, how much? But even though we were pretty stoked, we were also a little bit wary, because this $20 we had saved up was the equivalent of 20 million in today's money, and because this guy was new and no info was given on the quality, we were scared of getting a bag of oregano. And I mean, at the time, we both thought all plugs are grueling gangsters ready to kill you on sight if you so much as make the wrong sound. So if it really was a bag of oregano, there was nothing we could do about it. Anyway, the time comes for us to meet up with this mysterious plug, and the instructions he gave us were to come to this rundown gas station's loading area in the back at 8 p.m. sharp. So we did. As we were standing there at 7:58 p.m., we could only imagine what vicious, heinous, devious killer would come to greet us. So yeah, we hyped him up a little too much, but all that mattered now was the grass and if it was good or not. We went through the usual plug dialogue options like, yo, what's up? Yeah bro, can't wait to get suited today. This that good, etc. Until he finally revealed the grass, and what I witnessed to this day I find absurd. The grass was golden. Nani? Not in like shiny gold, but it was this yellowish color with green accents. Beautiful. And the smell. Bro opened that bag up for us to sniff, but it was not necessary, as the smallest opening in that Ziploc baggie consumed the entire area with the finest fragrance imaginable. Oh, okay, well, finest is the wrong word probably. The shit smelled like cat piss, but that's a good thing with Zaza. So we gave up our $20 with no hesitation and returned to Salamander's place with this golden grass of the gods. Now, usually we would just roll up a spliff and consume the za like that, but as this seemed to be legendary material and we didn't want to waste even a single microgram, we made a makeshift can that would allow us to ration this gram to the maximum. So now it was time to hit the za, and it went something like this. Are you ready? Shit, you know it. Here goes nothing. You good, bro? Yeah, you gotta hit this shit, man. Hey, you good? You good, bro? You hear me? You good? Yeah, man, this is some good stuff. This shit was heavenly. It was not of this world, I swear. Now, I'm not sure if it was because our tolerance was pretty much zero at the time, or it was really grass descendant from heaven. Probably a mix of both. But one thing I do know, that was the highest I had ever been up until that point. And well, as we know, when you were really high, you don't remember much the night after. So unfortunately, I don't know exactly what we talked about or what we did, but I do remember that we caught a major case of the Joker's laughing gas cause we found everything hilarious. We were so goddamn high, it took us a solid 20 minutes to navigate the PS4 menu to launch our game of Call of Duty. And when we did launch it, we were cognitively impaired. Felt like the controller was inverted or some shit. But safe to say, that Friday night we were truly blessed by the plug, and we went on to exclusively buy from that guy until he stopped plugging 1 month later. But he will always hold a special place in my heart as the plug of plugs.
Do you remember 2018/19 when kids were puffing Juuls like they were the new and improved oxygen? Then around the same time we had mofos slinging black market boof carts and dispos, which led to thousands of people hospitalized and tens dead. Basically, the Juuls screwed kids long term, trying their best to get the new generation addicted to Nick, and the black market boof dispos were out here stacking kills short term like the match was about to end and they were one off the nuclear. What a crazy time to be alive. Thank God they regulated that stuff now, and it's starting again. Yeah, so I don't know if it's just me, but I've been seeing seen a bunch of videos about stuff like the shroom vape, the DMT cart, a freaking opioid vape. Although this stuff isn't a widespread pandemic yet, it's still crazy to see how far some people will go to make a couple bucks. Like, bro, just sell grass. Anyway, today we're gonna go over the absolute most stupid and dangerous vapes that are being flinged online, on the streets, or even smoke shops, so you can watch out for them and hopefully tell the dude selling them to stop it and get some help. As an extra disclaimer, do not under any circumstances ever try these. They are unregulated as fuck, and I bet most of them are tested by a toddler with a chemistry kit, if at all. This video is purely educational and is here to serve you as an informative warning, so if you ever spot these horrid creations, you can run away as fast as possible, which especially applies for the last one on the list. Anyway, first up, the mushroom vape. I, along with over 1 million people, learned about the shroom vape from a scientist called Goblin, who made a video about it where he even tested it and analyzed the lab test results, where the conclusion was that it's filled with a bunch of random substances and definitely not a mushroom vape. That's because the active compound in mushrooms, psilocybin, that makes you high, literally cannot be consumed from a vape, as psilocybin breaks down when heated. So what exactly are you smoking when using the shroom vape? Well, who knows? It should be 4-ASO DMT, a lab-made cousin of shrooms, which turns into psilocin in your body, or something entirely different. Could be DMT, could be sadness in liquid form, you just don't know, and the creators of the thing are probably as clueless as the consumer. And although when Goblin tried it, he didn't feel anything besides a minor head rush, you might not be as lucky. Because of how ratchet these things are, I can't rule out the possibility that you might smoke it once, feel nothing, then pass it to your friend who takes one puff and gets psychosis for a month. We just don't know, which is why I made this list. You're basically trusting some rinky-dinky home chemist with something as complicated as your brain's chemistry. Absolute best case, you get something similar to a mushroom trip. Likely case, you feel nothing, and worst case, you're brain dead. So if you ever see a shroom vape in your local smoke shop, make sure you ask the clerk what's in it, and if he says mushrooms, you know he is a liar and kind of a scumbag. Find a new spot. Next one is probably the least dangerous one on the list, like long term, but short term, it's a bit too convenient for what it does, and oh boy, it does a lot. It is the DMT vape. Why I say this one is the least dangerous is that unlike the shroom vape, which literally just cannot exist because psilocybin isn't smokable, DMT is, so at least you're getting what is advertised. Well, actually, considering to get your hands on this, you either need to buy from a plug or a sketchy smoke shop, it could also just be fent. Anyway, why I still believe this is dangerous is that coming from someone who has tried DMT, although not like physically addictive, that shit leaves you staggered like a freaking flashbang, bro. And having something like that ready to smoke 24/7 in the palm of your hand looking like a USB stick, I just don't see that ending well for the majority of people. Like, bro, I've done my share of psychedelics, but DMT is like a portal to another universe. I mean, if you really puff that stuff, you're out of it. Dunsies, bozo. And the thing with having it in a dispo is that they tend to be inconsistent. Like, you can do one puff, feel nothing, do one more, and you're on the moon discussing philosophy with Rocky Balboa. Also, just think about this. Ancient shamans spent days fasting to meet the cosmic machine elves. You met them while sitting on your toilet scrolling TikTok. Kinda defeats the whole purpose of the stuff if you ask me. But well, if you're getting it from a trusted source, at least you can comfort in the fact that you're not smoking some Breaking Bad science experiment like with the shroom vape. Anyway, there's still 2 insane and dangerous vapes left, and they're gonna get really messed up from here, bro. So get ready to be baffled at the dark side of capitalism with the ketamine vape, or K-Pods. Don't get K-Pods mixed up with K-Pop. One is a schedule-free anesthetic abused by many to feel numb, detached, and probably listen to some weird-ass music. And K-pop, well, you know what K-pop is. Anyway, I don't think I have to explain to you why having a ketamine vape is not a good thing, as most people, including myself, are instantly put off by a drug that's main way of digestion is snorting it into your nose, which, unless you live in Wall Street, is the first sign of becoming a drug fiend. But with the invention of the K-Pod, or ketamine vape, we have made the barrier of entry much easier. I know my dumb teen self would have maybe even considered trying this stuff if I knew I could just inhale it from a vape, which is all the reason I need to put it on the list. Like, what's next? The crack pen? The Molly cart? The heroin juice? Probably shouldn't have said that. I'm already imagining the seller of one of these things having his notebook out like, he said crack pen? Interesting. Hey John, any loophole we can use to sell crack on Amazon? And well, I guess I'll just quickly go over the side effects of ketamine abuse, which the most famous one is obviously K-bladder. This is still 100% a thing, vape or not. Ketamine is ketamine. Vaping doesn't save your bladder from chronic exposure. Long-term heavy use can cause constant need to pee, pain, bleeding, bladder shrinkage, requiring surgery in severe cases, cognitive damage, memory issues, attention problems, disassociation leakage, feeling floaty even when sober, and more. Overall, I'd say the K-vape is a disgrace to humanity and the wonderful people who created the technology that make this stuff possible, because they probably didn't intend for the next generation to fling something called K-pods. But now for the final vape that, unlike the previous ones, is actually pretty widespread and, in my opinion, the most dangerous. The opioid vape, or 7-0. This is what happens when someone looks at kratom, which is already addictive on its own, and thinks, what if I removed all the plant matter, concentrated only the part that matters, and then made it vapeable? Congratulations, that's 7-hydromyctoxytric, 7-0, the main active opioid metabolite of kratom, and the real punch behind kratom's mild tea facade. And unlike the shroom vape, which the scientist Goblin tried to basically no effect, after smoking the 7-0 vape, he almost instantly felt his body get heavy and his mind get foggy. He compared his free puffs to taking half a Xan, which is pretty insane considering there is a lot more than free puffs in those things. The case that the companies selling this stuff try to make is, oh well, it helps recovering opioid addicts, which okay, fair, but then they go right ahead and market the stuff as the new Quaaludes or party pills, which I forgot to mention they're also sold in pill form. Never do they mention the fact that 7-0 binds up to 13 times stronger to your brain's opioid receptors than morphine, which in fact makes it way stronger. The worst part is smoke shops are making bank with these products, and do you think it's from recovering opioid addicts? Hell no. For kratom, which is like the natural opioid, I can see how you'd make a case for it as a recovery drug, but 7-0, although marketed as natural, is found in very small amounts in kratom, and then they use a chemical reaction to synthesize more of it, with the end result being a quote-unquote natural opioid up to 13 times stronger than morphine. Sounds legal, right? For real though, how this stuff is legal and sold in smoke shops, I do not know. One thing I do know is that the people who sell this stuff are scumbags and stay the hell away from it at all costs, because it's one of those things that you can try once and get hooked instantly, and the withdrawal symptoms are so bad people have needed medical help to get off the stuff. So yeah, if I had a magic wand imbued with the power of the Supreme Court and Congress, and I could only wave it once, I'd ban 7-0, as from what I understand, this is by far the most widespread substance on this list, and also the most dangerous.
Have you ever gotten like really high and thought, man, I got a lot of energy right now. I don't feel like just sitting around and munching all day at all. Yeah, most likely not. But if you've leveled up enough and are determined to go on an adventure, here are my 5 best places to go well baked. Number 5. The park. This one's a go-to hangout spot for most cannabis enthusiasts because, well, it's the park. There's all kinds of nature there, plus the overall vibe is nice and chill, especially if it's a sunny day. This place is at its best when you're with your friends, cause someone always comes up with the randomest idea that ends up being fun as fuck. Hey guys, you see that tree there? Yeah, what about it? I think we should all climb it, right? And smoke on the tree. Bro, you're a goddamn genius. Man, this is nice, isn't it? You can also go at night, which makes it a whole different type of cool. Get swanked, put on some scary music, and just walk around. I've had instances where I'm dead certain I see a goddamn demon next to a tree, lurking, waiting for the perfect time to possess me. But you know your boy a level 5000 holy warrior, so I ain't worried about no Annabella pulling up on me, cause I keep that Excalibur real close.
Fatality.
Number 4. The zoo. You ever look at some lions right in the eye, daring them to come get you, cause you can take them easy? Well, it's pretty fun cause the devil's lettuce makes every thought so significant, and you really do start believing stuff like, hey, bro, I'm telling you. The lion pulls up, boom, jump out the way, bang, liver punch, front flip on it, neck snap, easy. You're way too high, man. There's obviously so much more to do than pretending you can take on lions, like looking at elephants, looking at turtles,
Looking at crocodiles? Okay, so the activities pretty much boil up to just looking at animals. But shit, it's pretty fun. Don't hate on the zoo, you fool. Number 3. A water park. This one has a special place in my heart because I have always loved water parks ever since I was a kid. They're all the fun of an amusement park, but way shorter lines and you actually know where you are. Unlike a theme park which takes a freaking PhD in geography to navigate. Anyway, the one problem with this place is you gotta get your high just right. You smoke too much and you'll get overwhelmed and tired. You smoke too little, well, then you'll probably be thinking that you should have smoked more all day. But when you get that right, it's fun to the max. Cause man, I'll be feeling like a kid again. Oh boy, can't wait to go down the red slide. Bro, that's the kid slide.
I told you, Daniel, I want to go down the red slide, understand?
Number 2, the cinema. Kind of an obvious one, but then again, I know a lot of people who say they're too scared to go high, cause they think they'll get paranoid or something. I was like that a little bit too at first, but now I be getting baked beyond comprehension and start doing the most. Sneaking in food and drinks, putting my feet up on the seat in front of me, munching like a maniac, stuff like that. One thing though I do recommend is go to a low-key movie, meaning a movie that isn't blockbuster or has been in the cinema for a while. Cause most of the times they're close to 0 people in those ones, meaning you pretty much have a private cinema. So no one will be mad if you start chatting with your homies or munching like a madman that hasn't eaten in 3 weeks.
Hey, what movie we watching again?
Number 1. You or your friend's place. I'ma set the scene. You have a free day and you're bored. You watched everything good in the cinema, been to your local water park 1,000 times, and unfortunately, it's a cold and rainy day, so you don't want to go to the park or the zoo. Here you are thinking, man, I'ma really spend my free day doing nothing. When you feel your phone vibrate and you check and see it's your homie, Michael. You answer the call and he's like, hey yo, my parents went away for the night. I got the whole house to myself. I was thinking, you, me and Daniel have a limit-breaking smoke sesh and see where the day takes us. There's just something about smoking up with your homies in a crib by yourself, knowing you have the whole day to just find entertainment in the stupidest things.
Okay. Okay, I'm feeling it. Yeah. Hey. Fly like a dragon, sting like a bee. Mess with me, homie, you messing with the team. Got lots of guns, got lots of money. Spend it all on a pack of honey. Ay. Bam.
Bro, that shit was straight fire.
You know, the line between a fun high and a you done high is very thin, and that shit is no joke. Sometimes all it takes is just one extra puff. And that's when I finally realized that dude was not talking about no Coca-Cola to drink.
Wait, but I did buy this weed from him. I wonder if...
No, wait, it can't be.
Everybody stop right now! I think we're all smoking crack!
Hey, yo, see, you got any more of that weed you gave me yesterday? Oh, it's really good shit. Yeah, I really liked it. Hey, yo, I see you have some. Hey, yo, give me, I'll give you anything. I'll fucking suck your dick.
And that's exactly why you can never trust a plug who also sells that Coca-Cola, if you know what I'm saying. But your weed being laced with a substance that'll change the chemistry of your brain and make the pursuit of your dreams and happiness into the pursuit of concentrated 1900s Coca-Cola and ruin your life forever is the least of your worries when you smoke up with a bunch of sad boys. Now, don't get me wrong, mental health is very important and you should never keep everything inside because your loved ones want to help you. But bro, ever since Juice WRLD dropped Lucid Dreams, motherfuckers will find any reason to be depressed.
I still see your shadows in my room. Can't take back the love that I gave you.
Yo, what was going on with you, bro? Like, you've been acting really sad as of late.
You wouldn't understand. I'm depressed. There's just no point to anything.
Wait, but you weren't depressed 2 days ago. Oh, you're on a sad boy phase.
Sad boy? No! Oh, fuck, I guess I am.
Yeah, bro, how about we go to Salamander's place, get obliterated, and play some Super Smash Bros. Instead of whatever the fuck you're doing here?
Yeah, what am I doing here?
Yeah, let's just get out of here.
1 hour later.
So, Ricky, you still sad? Nah, I'm having a blast.
Wait, but you were saying something about like someone's shadows you were still seeing in your room.
I don't want to talk about that.
And that's the story of how we were able to stop Ricky from becoming a full-time sad boy, just in the nick of time. But besides almost losing a friend to the song Sad! Exclamation point, there have been 2 extremely scary highs I have gone through. One was instigated by the popo, man, fuck the police, and the other was from the fear of losing my life. Let me set the scene for you. I'm in high school and I've smoked maybe 3 or 4 times ever, but the last time I did was months ago, so my tolerance was damn near at the level of smelling some grass and getting faded. Anyway, so I had a couple friends who have been asking me relentlessly to get some Zaza and get faded because they didn't know any plugs and really wanted to try it. So one weekend I decided to finally fulfill their request and hit up my homie Salamander and acquired the exotic. The weekend came and we found ourselves in my dorm room rolling a J, which, well, I had rolled it and it took me a while because my stats were low AF. Basically, I was out there trying to pick an expert level lock with 0 points in perception, dog. After going through 20 papers, the abomination was ready though, so we went deep into the local park and sparked it. Barely, because that shit had almost 0 airflow. I had to relight the damn thing after every puff. Yet that was definitely not even close to the worst part, because these motherfuckers were begging me to get the Zaza in the first place, were scared shitless to get high, so I ended up smoking like 80% of the J myself, leaving me absolutely zoinked in a group where nobody else wasn't. So you can imagine I was feeling pretty betrayed, and also a bit scared, because if you've ever been obliterated in a group where no one else is, you know that you feel kind of like an alien abandoned by your comrades in a hostile planet, and that feeling was amplified by the fact that these friends of mine were kind of dickheads. Because after puffing down the J, we went to the local gas station to get some munchies, and of course I was fiending for some trans fats, so I asked them if they could go in there and bring me the stuff I wanted, and I'd of course pay them back. Pretty reasonable and easy, right? Being that I was the only one who was blasted and scared of getting caught. I guess fucking not, because these pussios who didn't even inhale the fucking weed told me that they wouldn't bring me anything if I didn't come in. Which, I mean, these days I wouldn't mind, but I was like 17 and it was a Friday night, the prime time for cop patrol, so I had no choice and went in there tweaking out of my mind like...
Oh, fuck, this place is full. Shit. Wait, it feels like they're all staring at me. No, I think I'm just high. Okay, let's just get out of here. I'm not gonna order anything. Okay, fine. Go to the corner.
Hey, yo, bro, I'm gonna just take some chips and candy, okay? And can you give me the car keys so I can just wait it out in the car while you guys wait for your food? Yeah?
No.
What? Why? I'm not even gonna turn it on, bro.
Cause, bro, I got an announcement to make.
This motherfucker high as... Bro, shut the fuck up! That ain't funny. Unbake this fall, you pussy.
Okay, but yeah, you're not getting the keys. So basically, these scumbags just decided to torture me, and because I had to wait for their food anyway, I went to order some too, and as I was doing so, 3 girls from my school approached me at the counter and were like, yeah, I'll have
Hey, see, I heard you guys smoked some weed, yeah?
Well, no, I'll have the dumplings, yeah. But yeah, we definitely didn't.
We're all super duper sober bober.
Yeah, you did. Dwayne said so. You got some left? You can come to our place if you have some. We really want to get faded too.
And in that moment, I had to pause and rethink my whole life, because I did not in fact have any left, because I wasted it all on my rinky-dinky sausage party bum fun enjoying friends. Which, if I would have had some left, I could have gone to these girls' crib and smoked up with free hot chicks. But no, I donated all the weed to dumber, and me, the dumbest. And after that realization of alliances, I changed the famous saying, bros before hoes, to bros who aren't hoes before bros. And I live by that to this day. But the scariest part was yet to come, because as I was waiting for my food posted up at the ice cream station, a cop walked in. And that just set my tweak meter to a whole new level. I felt my heart rate spike to like 200, and I was shaking, just begging God for him not to walk towards me. But he fucking did. I avoided eye contact at all costs, but it seemed he had his eyes set on me. He got closer and closer until he was standing right in front of me.
Fuck, why is he here? He knows I'm faded, doesn't he? Oh shit, I'm fucked. I'm going to juvie. This is over. Oh my god, I'm gonna fucking die. Yes, officer?
Could you move out of the way, please? I want some ice cream.
Yeah, of course. My bad.
Thanks. Nothing better than some good old Ben and Jerry's to complement a sour diesel joint. Shit, fucking fire. Okay, the last part maybe didn't happen, okay? Anyway, the build-up, the weed, the cop, everything combined gave me some of the worst anxiety I've ever had, but the relief when he just wanted some ice cream was equally amazing. I had gotten away from this horrid situation, and once we got our food, we went to a hangout spot where I got really cold and tweaked again. Overall, I'd rate the high a 7 out of 10 just because it was eventful and I got a nice adrenaline dump, but it would have been a damn 9.5 if your boy could have gone to the girls' crib and got faded with some hot females instead of my pussy friends, goddamn. Although this high was quite stressful, it did have its highlights. I don't know about you guys, but I swear, these days whenever I go outside to catch some fresh air and enjoy the glory of the sun, I'm instantly greeted with mofos triple tapping the Elfington like it was a raid boss. Young, old, fat, ripped, it don't matter. Everybody consuming the Nick some way or the other. Shit, not even our goddamn elementary schools are safe. 12-year-old kids be waking up one day and just being like, you know what? Today seems like the perfect day to get an awful addiction that I will regret for the rest of my life and struggle to control daily. Yeah, better hit up Jimmy too. Maybe he wants to join in. But not all nicotine addicts are the same. In fact, there are a lot of different perspectives on the whole addiction aspect. But one of the worst types to be is the dude who never admits he is addicted. We all know a dude like this. Mofo be sucking on the Benjamin 24/7 or stuffing pouches under his gums every 5 minutes. But when asked if he is addicted, he always hits you with the, "Nah bro, just the fuh. I can quit whenever. I just don't wanna right now." Like, what you mean you don't wanna? Bro been consuming so much Nick, his brain has literally turned into a damn elf bar. And when you tell him to prove it by, I don't know, not vaping for a week, they always hit you with that, "Man, I ain't gotta prove nothing to you. You don't know me, what I've been through. I'm a dog, I'm a killer."
No, it's okay. It's gonna be okay.
Even though this dude kinda stubborn, I feel for him. Cause who really wants to admit they can't stop? But this next dude, I don't feel bad for at all. The guy who seems to think it's cool to be addicted. Okay, no one thinks it's nice to be addicted, but I mean, that's what this guy pretty much is. They think vaping makes them cool, and therefore shames others for not wanting to. In reality, pretty much every other nicotine consumer will tell you to never start doing it, and that it's much cooler to just breathe air. So, therefore, this guy is, or at least should be, hated by everyone on planet Earth. And if you ever catch a mofo pushing vaping to a homie, just run up on him and slap the shit out of him. Kick him in the balls while you're at it. Or, I don't know, at least spit in his face or something. Fucking asshole. But enough of this hobgoblin, let's move on to the dude who smokes cigs. Okay, this might offend some people, but cigs are goddamn disgusting. And I'm pretty sure they're even worse for you than vaping and nicotine pouches, although don't quote me on that. This guy lives and dies by, "It's all natural, bro," and proclaims, "At least I know what's in it." Like, sorry for hanging on to hope that just maybe, I might not get cancer. Cause this dude already marked his calendar for the good old iron lung. Not much to say except for, man kinda smells, so 1 out of 10. Never touch nicotine, let alone cigs. But now it's time for the occasional addict. Okay, this one is near to my heart, cause sad to admit it, this is kinda me. This dude doesn't have his own vape or pouches or cigs or anything, but that doesn't mean he isn't addicted because he still consumes Nick whenever he's offered or the opportunity arises. Speaking from experience, this guy kind of in limbo cause even though there could be weeks, even months when he doesn't touch the Elfington, but then one day he might go somewhere with the homies and do something like this. You wanna hit this? No. Okay. On second thought... So yeah, even though it's a seasonal addiction, it's still an addiction. So call yourself out every time a nicotine addiction
moment happens. But time for the last one. I only consume Nick when I'm stressed. So, you only hit the Puffington when you're stressed, eh? So, what qualifies as being stressed? You lose your job, you get robbed, you lose your car keys, you stub your toe, you experience a mild inconvenience of forgetting the lights on in your room, so now you have to go all the way upstairs to turn them off. So yeah, as you can see, this one is kind of a slippery slope, cause believe me, the more you mess around with the Nick, the more you're gonna be in moments like this.
What? That's so... Man...
Unfortunately, it's all a ruse, cause in reality, you only consume Nick when you feel like it. So you're addicted, just like everybody else. And a word of advice, don't start vaping, okay? It's not good for you.
Smoke weed every day. To some, this is their mantra, and to others, it is just something they said in 4th grade to sound cool, along with, of course, bitch getting money. But did you know, smoking weed isn't just some 21st century trend where after COVID everyone just realized, man, this sucks. Yo, did you hear? The lockdown is ending next week. We finally get to leave our rooms. Man, this sucks. No. People have been getting high off that homegrown natural supply for decades, centuries, dare I say millennia. And over these countless years, a lot of the people who shaped our history also shaped finely ground botanical matter tightly packed within a thin, often translucent paper forming a perfect tube. AKA a joint. I'm saying they smoked weed, okay? Anyway, some of these people we can confirm to have consumed the Lord's loud, and the others we, well, unfortunately just have suggesting evidence for. And one will be complete speculation by me, which try and guess which one of them is which, I'll also tell you at the end of the video. First up, William Shakespeare. The idea that William Shakespeare may have smoked cannabis stems from findings in the early 2000s where scientists discovered pipe fragments in Shakespeare's garden. These pipes contain traces of cannabis, among other substances. While there is no direct evidence that Shakespeare himself used cannabis, the presence of these compounds has led to speculation about whether he might have experimented with that top-shelf Zaza. This theory is further fueled by some interpretations of his writings, such as in Sonnet 76, where he mentions invention in a noted weed, which some suggest could be a subtle nod to using weed as a source of creative inspiration. However, these are only speculations and there's no conclusive evidence to confirm them. Me, however, have no doubt in my mind that that man at least once in his lifetime got faded than a hoe. I mean, they found signs of cannabis among other substances, suggesting to me that one of Shakespeare's friends like Thomas Green or James Burbage once brought Shakespeare some weed not knowing what it was, and after getting high, Shakespeare was all like, to be or not to be, got rich and famous, and then went his entire life trying to find more weed, hence the other substances found in that pipe. But hey, that's just a theory. A high theory. Queen Victoria. Queen Victoria might not be the first person you'd imagine puffing on a joint, but history has its surprises. Back in the Victorian era, our dear queen was quite the savant when it came to pain management. Prescribed cannabis by her royal physician, Sir J. Russell Reynolds, Victoria reportedly used it to relieve menstrual cramps. This makes her one of the earliest known VIPs of the medical marijuana club, proving even monarchs need a little herbal relief now and then. No word on whether it made court affairs more amusing, but one could certainly hope. Although this one is proven to be true, unlike Shakespeare, it isn't quite as, well, entertaining is the right word, I guess, as there really is no proof that she ever smoked that OG, just put a few drops under her tongue. Did she ever have the munchies? Did she ever get intentionally high before, let's say, a play to make it more enjoyable? I guess we'll never know. One can only ponder about the royal rotation. George Washington. Ah, the $1 bill. America's first president and perhaps its first agricultural innovator in the realm of hemp. In his days, tending to the vast fields of Mount Vernon, Washington got quite savvy with his crops, particularly hemp, which was used primarily for industrial purposes like making ropes and fabrics. But here's a little historical nugget. Washington wrote about separating male from female hemp plants. Now, to the untrained eye, this might just seem like good old farming, but those in the know might wink at the idea that George was onto something more recreational. I mean, why else fuss over female plants known for their higher THC content? Well, there's no smoking gun, or smoking pipe as it were, to prove he partook himself. It does raise eyebrows, and maybe even a few smiles at the thought of the father of his country partaking in a bit of the herb. Of course, there are some other reasons why George could have wanted to separate female plants from male ones, but I just can't imagine being so into weed farming and not even once being curious enough to smoke it. Can you? Probably not. So conclusion, I think he smoked. You think he smoked? he smoked. Herodotus. Often dubbed the father of history, he had quite the knack for detailing the quirky habits of ancient cultures. In his tales, he mentions the Scythians, a group that really knew how to throw a smoky party. They weren't just tossing burgers on the grill, but were burning cannabis seeds to whip up a bathhouse-style smoke fest. Imagine this, ancient warriors chilling in felt tents, getting secondhand highs from hotboxing with hemp. Which leads us to Alexander the Great. Some cultures around his empire used cannabis, such as the Scythians, who, as I mentioned earlier, Herodotus noted used it in steam baths. However, there are no records or indications that Alexander himself used cannabis. His conquest did bring him into contact with many different peoples and cultures, so it's likely he was aware of various herbal practices. However, connecting him directly to cannabis use is, well, fight on! Light on. Unlikely. Louis Armstrong. The jazz virtuoso with a trumpet and a grin as wide as the Mississippi had a special relationship with gauge, his preferred term for marijuana. Armstrong wasn't just casual about his cannabis. He considered it essential to his music and well-being. He famously said that it made him feel good, didn't make him mad, and that he couldn't forget it even if he tried. So integral was marijuana to his routine that he wrote to President Eisenhower advocating for its legalization. We always looked at pot as a sort of medicine, a cheap drunk, and with much better thoughts than one that's full of liquor. Wise words if I do say so myself. For Armstrong, weed was a part of the jazz lifestyle, keeping him cool in the face of the era's hot prejudices and even hotter jazz clubs. Carl Sagan. The Cosmos' personal tour guide was not only fascinated by the stars, but also by the starry effects of marijuana. Under the nom de plume, Mr. X, aka Sagan, extolled the virtues of weed in an essay that spoke of it as both a source of profound philosophical insights and a simple pleasure. He argued that cannabis had a remarkable power to enhance curiosity, appreciation for art, and sensory experiences, essentially deepening the user's connection to the universe. His private use of cannabis was a tool for scientific meditation and personal enlightenment, a kind of mental spacecraft exploring the uncharted territories of the human mind, all while maintaining a vigorous career in astrophysics. What a G! His appreciation for weed was not just about enjoyment, but also an intellectual pursuit, adding a layer of contemplation to his stargazing. This one is one of my favorites because it really just proves that weed doesn't make a hardworking person lazy, it makes a lazy person lazier. And in the case of Mr. X, no, not you Elon Musk, Carl, it's awesome to see an advocate for weed that isn't a rapper or a retired athlete, but an esteemed astrophysicist. No, not you either, Neil deGrasse Tyson, we all know how smart you are. Final person on our list, and the most prominent in Zaza use. Everything he described makes sense to me, as although I'm not hippie enough to say my Zaza destruction is due to me wanting to deepen my connection to the universe, I do however prefer to play No Man's Sky high as balls.
I don't know about you guys, but it seems like nowadays most mofos would rather breathe mango juice mist than oxygen. I mean for real, vaping is so normalized and common, you'd be hard pressed to find someone who doesn't do it. Like I swear, some dudes don't even have their own vape, but just know everybody else has one and rely on that to fill their addiction. Couldn't be me though. What you looking at? Anyway, since your boy is a freshly addicted nicotine fiend, I've experienced firsthand the levels of addiction to this devilish substance, and I hope for your guys' sakes, you've never nor never will touch the stuff. Level 1. Bro, why would anyone like this? Your first puff off that awful mango stick, and even though it tastes pretty nice, you probably thought to yourself, bro, why would anyone do this? Just chew gum or something. But then after a couple more puffs, cause I mean you're already at the function or bathroom or whatever, you're like, wait, what's this feeling? I feel a bit dizzy and lightheaded, but I think I like it. And boom, you just took your first step to addiction land. But if you're one of the strong, mythical humans who after that realization also realized that this shit can get bad real quick and stopped, big ups to you, big dog, cause you actually a true G for that. But for most people, it was more like, oh, this is pretty nice. I think I'll visit the bathroom tomorrow as well. And well, that right there is the beginning of the end, cause if you go to that bathroom the next day too, you'll move right on to Level 2. Social vapor. Well, you didn't stop yourself when it would have been easy, and now here you are. Not a resident in the school bathroom yet, but a frequent visitor. At this point, you still don't have your own vape because in your mind, you know that's when you can't make any more excuses. You would be addicted and would have to face the harsh reality. But while you're at this level, mofos will urge you to buy your own one. And well, that's because you're always begging for them quick rips without donating them yourself. Which, although kind of a dick move, if you can somehow take those ego hits of "Brokey, get your own vape, fool. Ah, it's the quick rip beggar." Without buying your own, you're actually doing good. And to be honest, vape juice costs pennies, and most of the fools who tell you to buy your own just don't want to feel inferior, so they try to get you completely addicted like them. But if you fall under the spell of the Tate fans and the word "brokey" destroys you, plus, you know, it would be nice to be able to inhale that cancerous mango juice at home too. You'll move on to level 3. The Dispo Vape Man is here. You bought yourself a disposable vape, cause well, it's the easiest way to get your own nicotine addiction machine without forking up $50 for one of those weird futuristic box things that make them mega clouds. And because of that, your inhaling of mango juice has quadrupled at least, if not hexex mega dupled, which is like 15 times more. I think. I don't know math. You vape on your way to school or work, you vape during that time, you vape on the way back, and you vape when you're home. So yeah, things ain't looking that good. But remember how at level 2 you told yourself, "I will admit that I'm addicted when I buy my own vape." Yeah, well, now you're telling yourself, "I just bought one, I'm not addicted or anything," which will be a recurring theme in the unholy land of addiction. Good news is, this is the point where most people draw some type of line, so like, I can only buy one vape a week, or I'ma slowly start trying to decrease my consumption of cancer. Bad news is though, nicotine is gonna try its damn best to beat that sense of moderation out of you, and if you let it, well, you're going to. Level 4. I'm addicted, aren't I? Welcome to Addiction Land. It's a lot like Yodi Land, except for it sucks balls. And there's monsters and demons and stuff too. At this point, you don't go anywhere without your vape. I mean, for real, the thought of not having it with you makes you low-key anxious. And also, you've abandoned trying to hide your addiction from others. Meaning, before, let's say you went to a family gathering or something, you would deem that a no-vape zone, cause being addicted is something no one wants to admit to themselves, especially the people who are closest to you. But at least you're not addicted to the point of not going to places you can't vape. Because although it is tough not being able to inhale mango juice for an extended period of time, you still have the self-respect to be like, "No, I'm not that much of an addict that I'm not gonna go to my homie's funeral cause I can't vape there. I will endure the pain." Unfortunately, the whole addiction is deeper, and you still haven't touched the bottom, so if you keep on inhaling without lowering the frequency of it, you'll move on to level 5. The depths of hell. Well, you're addicted and your brain has ran out of excuses to make you feel better about yourself. If anyone asks if you're ever gonna quit, your answer will most likely be, "Maybe one day," or "when I need to." The latter being such an incredibly sad and stupid answer that I'm pretty sure the person saying it doesn't even understand how messed up it is. Like, what do you mean? You'll stop when your doctor says you have lung cancer? Bro, it's too late. Here's your chemotherapy for sure. Treatment starts tomorrow. All jokes aside, guys, this is awful. I've heard people say stuff like that, and it really does sadden me that they themselves don't even understand how shitty of a situation they're in. At this point, you have 100% started experiencing awful side effects like smoker's cough, phlegm in your throat 24/7, and overall low energy and mood when you're not inhaling nicotine. The road to recovery is long and hard, but if you can somehow find the courage to start trying to beat this awful, devilish, monstrous addiction, you'll go to level 6. Recovery. Not much to say here. When you got all the way to level 5, it's gonna be a slow climb down. Unlike the lower levels where if your willpower allows it, you can just stop on the spot and go back to level 0. Here though, you gotta slowly go down cause you have actual side effects from not consuming Nick. But for all my homies who have the courage to admit to themselves that this shit has gotten out of hand, I applaud you and hope for a day where all of us can chill together in peace without having that constant voice in our heads going,
"Hey, it's been 20 minutes. Time for some nicotine."
And if you're thinking about trying vaping, then please, for me, you, and everybody who loves you, don't. It's awful and lame as fuck.
Do you smoke? A question that has been asked frequently ever since the early 1900s, but unlike the early 1900s where that question was mostly targeted towards cigarettes, these days, depending on your age and location of course, it probably means, do you enjoy sparking up a doozy at 8 p.m. to either watch Family Guy or ponder the meaning of life? No in between. Which, although smoking anything is harmful for us, I do believe we are moving in the right direction, aka the direction of less addictive cancerous chemicals. But don't get me wrong, Zaza is not good nor never will be good for your physical health. Although one can make the argument for mental health, only problem being 90% of that stems from, I feel like it helps, or I'm happier when I'm high, which in no way confronts the root of the problem, but rather serves as a temporary solution. But who am I to tell you if you're smoking too much weed, bruh? You have to figure that out yourself, because every situation is different. What I can and will do in this video though, is outline every level of cannabis consumption, how they may affect your health and life, and give you a better understanding of when and how a semi-unhealthy controlled hobby can turn into a straight-up addiction, to hopefully educate the public about the most important thing when it comes to anything in life: moderation. So let's start off with level 1. A casual. The casual is someone who smokes up only on occasions and almost exclusively with friends or family. At this level, you might be sparking up once or twice a month when a homie invites you over to hang out. And the reality is, you don't even really care about the weed part so much as the hang out part. You understand that smoking isn't good for you, but you also know the person you chill with likes to do so. And who are you to tell your friend how he or she should live his life? This is truly a wonderful level to be at, as being high is always eventful and joyful. Unless, you green out. Anyway, I think this is obvious, but at this stage, you don't have your own bud, bong, or really anything related to the za, as your homie always just hooks you up. That is, until the next level, which is level 2, the weekend smoker. The weekend smoker is someone who has evolved from only getting high for the sake of being on the same wavelength as the homie, to someone who has grown to enjoy the effects of marijuana, even alone. But don't get me wrong, you are still aware that smoking is not healthy, but you also know eating Ruffles is not healthy, doom scrolling is not healthy, yet you still do them from time to time. Getting high has become something you look forward to, but since you're not smoking up every night, it's usually always accompanied with some activity you have in mind, aka I can't wait for Friday so I can smoke up and play Minecraft. I'm excited for Saturday so I can smoke up and watch Dragon Ball Super. Something like that. At this level, you're also definitely not smoking up frequently enough to start worrying about the financial implications buying weed comes with. At most, you're getting an eighth once a week and rolling a couple J's, or maybe if your friend was generous, he'll give you his old bong.
Protected with your life.
Personally, this is the level I have tried to stay at, but well, it's kind of hard because at this point you have your own weed, and if you're doing something fun at night, it kind of tempts you to do it, well, high. And once you give into that temptation, you'll move up to level 3. The daily reward. You've come to really enjoy your weekend highs, so much so that you've decided, screw it, it's Tuesday, there'll be no hangover like with alcohol. Yeah, I'ma smoke up. I would consider this level the last one where you can still say you are not addicted, just really enjoy hanging around while high. The only problem being, weed has become an integral part of your routine, which has removed some of the wonder that accompanied it in the previous levels. As before, being faded got you moving extremely irregular, but since irregular depends on your perspective of regular and you're pretty regularly high, your actions while under the influence, although still fun, don't make you feel that, oh shit. Where I'm going with this is that before the idea of doing your daytime activities while high seems scary, now they kind of seem like they might be a bit more fun instead. Also, you now know about strains, hybrid, indica, sativa. All these terms mean something to you. You might even have multiple strains at the crib, and depending on your nighttime mood and plan, you'll indulge in the one that suits you best. Whether you're looking to unwind after a long day or energize for a night out, there's a perfect strain to match every occasion. But don't get me wrong, you're still using the za as a sort of reward for a hard day's work to relax and chill, so you still have self-control, which, well, kind of starts fading on level 4. Gee, why not? Why not, you think? I ain't really got nothing much to do anyway, I'll just do a quick rip and make it more enjoyable. Getting high during the day can be a slippery slope, cause once you do, you'll realize that, wow, this is kind of fun. and so you might start dedicating your sativa stash to your daytime adventures, but there is a catch, a rather steep price you must pay when you reach this level. Because you are now high during the day, smoking up at night loses that reward factor it used to have. You're slowly getting to the point where the feeling of normality is being faded, and due to that, getting high at the end of your day is just standard procedure, not your special fun time, if you get what I'm saying. Another huge difference that comes at this level is of course your tolerance, which has gone way up along with your money spent on weed, and to counteract those, you have had to start buying in bulk, so instead of eighths, you now have ounces. But holding so much bud is a double-edged sword, as having over an ounce available at any given time also messes with your sense of how much you're actually smoking. Whereas one full bowl of bud taken from a grinded eighth visibly decreases the amount you have left, a full bowl taken from a grinded ounce seems like nothing, which all of these things compound, kinda like the stock market. You're taking bigger and bigger hits each day, which most people would start to realize that at this point, it's kinda hard to label your Zaza destruction as a controlled hobby when you're not just high during your night goblin time, but also your daytime, and start lowering your consumption. But if you are not most people and still believe that you are in control, you'll move on to level 5. Zaza Fiend. A cigarette smoker can smoke a pack a day, which is not so good for your lungs. A Zaza Fiend can smoke 5 to 10 J's a day, which is also not so good for your lungs. Whereas before, you could point to that cigarette smoker and say, "You smoke the same amount in a day that I do in a month. We are not the same." Now you point at him and he points right back, which kinda sucks, not gonna lie. Being high has completely lost its wonder. It's more a monthly subscription to live your life normally and be in an alright mood now. You'll start to notice you got a bit of a cough. You got some stuck at the back of your throat pretty often, and you also can't remember what you did 2 days ago and beyond.
Oh no, I was high as balls.
You say jokingly, holding back your tears, because the reality is you weren't high as balls. You smoked a lot of weed, yes, but you weren't all that high, just normal high. Although you can't really get physically addicted to weed, you absolutely can mentally. I can quit at any time, you might think, and you could maybe, but oh boy, it will not be easy. Wanna play a game? Gotta get high. Wanna watch a movie? Gotta get high. Need to go to the store? Might as well get high. Everything is done high. Your lungs have not gotten a break to cleanse themselves, and your brain has not gotten a break either. In fact, it has gotten so used to being high, it feels pretty shitty without it. We could talk about your tolerance, but well, you probably know where that's at, on that maxed out endgame plus level. Personally, I've only ever gotten this far once, back when I was in high school and it was summer break, because I learned pretty quick that, well, it's by far the worst level to be at. You're smoking an insane amount, sometimes even back-to-back bong rips, but the feeling you get from it is not even that fun. On top of that, you're spending an unholy amount of money on bud. I mean, it's gotten so bad, your monthly Zaza costs might literally exceed your grocery budget. Got you setting aside half your paycheck just so you can feel okay. Might be time for a tea break, don't you think? All these levels are supposed to just give you a reference to where you're at, and the reality is you'll probably be bouncing around them, not stick to one forever. I usually try to keep my consumption on level 2 or 3, but that doesn't mean I don't dabble with the 4th level from time to time when, like, I don't know, a new Monster Hunter game comes out and I want to fully immerse myself in its world by getting an ounce of Zaza, locking myself in my gaming dungeon and going into goblin mode for a week. Just whatever you do, don't ever get to the last level. There's literally nothing positive about that place. Key takeaway, moderation is your best friend. 10,000 BC, a group of cavemen in the Oki Islands of Japan needed some warmth and wanted to start a fire when they discovered a funny looking green plant, and either out of curiosity or desperation took it and inadvertently created history's first ever hotbox. Yet this early grass was not that loud that people be smoking today, because as we know, over the years the Za has been scientifically and artificially cultivated to be much more concentrated in the high it gives. So although it is funny to think about a group of cavemen purposely starting a fire in a small shelter for the sole purpose of getting faded in a hoe, it is unlikely that it actually ever happened. Yet aside from this iffy recreational stint in Japan, hemp was first commonly used in the lands that are modern day Mongolia and China for more practical uses like eating it. Which, after saying that, you might be imagining something like this. Yo, what's up? How you doing? Had any fun with those new seeds I gave you?
Yo, nah, I actually came here to give them back. Last night I was looking at the moon and I swear that motherfucker was looking right back at me.
But alas, this probably wasn't the reality because the THC levels in this early cultivated Zaza were just really low, but soon the Chinese would discover that the holy plant's fibers were also great for making stuff too, like clothes, paper, and bowstrings. Which turns out hemp fibers were superior to the bamboo ones used by rivaling factions, allowing the Chinese to shoot their arrows much further. So basically, back in the day, if you were having a long distance bow battle and were losing, you might have screamed out, "We need to get closer! These motherfuckers have weed!" Anyway, it wasn't long after when mofos realized that the loud wasn't only good for making stuff, it was also great for treating physical maladies. And after a couple thousand years, Emperor Shen Nung, known as the father of Chinese medicine, included the magic plant in his medical encyclopedia under the name Ma. Which, that sounds oddly similar to Za, doesn't it? I'm guessing every couple thousand years the first letter changes or something. But now, let's explore the question we're all asking. When exactly did mofos start ripping that shit to get faded? Well, one of the earliest counts is about 2,500 years ago when researchers discovered 10 mini barbecues in a cemetery near modern-day Tajikistan that had residue of burnt cannabis with a much higher concentration of THC than normal, probably meaning it was selectively bred to get you, well, lit. Although this was one of the first counts of people purposely inhaling the broccoli to get high, it was most likely used as part of a ritual to invoke an altered state of mind so you could communicate with spirits. Which shit, dog, I wanna know what these dudes were smoking, cause I ain't never heard of no grass that gets you to the spirit realm. This might have low-key been the last kush Snoop Dogg smoked, cause once you get so high you start communicating with your dead gran, that's when you really might be like, okay, I think it's about time I stop smoking this shit. Since cannabis, for one reason or another, proved to be quite the useful plant, people started trading it around the world as soon as it was domesticated. Which the only people who didn't really fuck with the Zaza were Europeans, who preferred getting hammered instead. Which is low-key reflected in modern times too, especially in the northern countries where once you turn 18, you can drink as much poison as you want, but if you want to blaze, well, you might be looking at a little bit of jail time, my boy. But now, let's quickly go over the uses of cannabis throughout different cultures so we can move on to the modern age, starting with Hindus. They made something called bang, an edible cannabis paste that had medicinal properties but also got you high. This could be added to a variety of foods and drinks, which this bang was the preferred food of the Hindu god Shiva, making him in my eyes the god of edibles.
Disclaimer, that was a joke.
Islam. Here the Za was called hashish and was introduced about 1,000 years ago, which hashish wasn't strictly forbidden in the Quran at first, so a lot of Muslims ate it for its medicinal and relaxation properties. But later, Egypt basically banned it, and also the Quran was revisited by many and reinterpreted to include hashish to be banned just like alcohol. The Vikings. These dudes basically used the Za to make rope, sailcloth, and other things, but also for its medicinal properties, mostly to relieve pain, and to date, there's no hard evidence that they consumed it for its recreational use, but you know, maybe they should have, because they were quite the horrendous savages and murderers, so it might have made them think a little bit about peace and love. But what about America, England, and the actual global world powers? How did they react to weed? Well, again, like the Chinese, Europeans and Americans at first prominently used the magic green plant in the 16th to 18th century for more practical things like making sailcloth and rope, which the plant itself grew much larger in the New World soil, and combined with the practicality of it, everything started being hemp-derived. Clothes, paper, well, basically anything that required fibers. But the question still remains, when did mofos start smoking that shit to get blasted on the regular? Cause although at some point you, your neighbor, your grandma, your boss, and even George Washington were out here growing weed, wasn't nobody out here rolling them up. Well, until the arrival of Mexicans. The loud version of hemp first arrived in Brazil in the early 1500s by way of enslaved Africans traveling with the Portuguese. And the native South Americans, who were already consuming some other psychoactive substances, quickly started blazing the Zaza too, and its use soon spread across South America and into Mexico, from which in the 1910s is when the loud first spread into the US via Mexican immigrants escaping the effects of the Mexican Revolution. And almost immediately the good was viewed as a threat, and by 1931, 29 states had banned its use. Although it wasn't really the Zaza that the US didn't fall with, it was unfortunately mostly just racism against Mexican Americans and black citizens of the South, which both these groups were enjoyers of the Zaza to some regard, so it became a scapegoat for racial bias in the US, and they blamed it for everything from petty crimes all the way to murder. And in 1937, the US completely banned all non-medical use of weed, which all of this kind of explains why the mostly peaceful plant has been thrown in the same Schedule 1 category with full-on life-destroying substances like heroin and cocaine. But thankfully, a couple decades later came the hippie movement of the 1960s to 1970s. This is what likely sparked the comeback for weed, cause unlike before, when the Zaza was mostly smoked by Mexican immigrants and black citizens who the US was massively racist against, the hippie movement had middle-class white American youth start blazing too. Which it was all about love, peace, spirituality, non-violence, and of course, every hippie's favorite, recreational drug use. Although most hippies were all about peace and love, that was quite easy to say when most of them were literally privileged enough to drop out of college, run off with Cassandra in a rainbow van, go on copious amounts of mindset-altering trips, mostly powered by LSD, and then return 10 years later to their parents and have them say,
It's okay, son. I was young and stupid once too.
Anyway, although the grass was still federally illegal, this didn't really do much, cause in 1976, 1 in 8 Americans over the age of 12 admitted to smoking it in the past 30 days. Hippies though were especially interested in cannabis, so much so they went on something called the Hippie Trail, which was basically an excursion by the youths of the world to go over to the Middle East and India, all while riding in magic buses and discovering new ways to get absolutely blasted, such as smoking the concentrated Zaza resin known as hash. But acquiring the Zaza would soon get much harder, because you see, most of it came from Mexico, so in 1969 the US started patrolling the border, and in 1975 they got even more aggressive and started spraying herbicide on Mexican wheat plants. And so good old supply and demand made grass prices skyrocket, which a lot of people started then growing the plant themselves in mini greenhouses, closets, bathtubs, storage units, basements, wherever they could. But then in 1982, Mr. Smarty Pants Ronald Reagan took it even a step further by encouraging the streamlined arrest of anyone in possession of an illegal substance, which was really dumb because most of the focus was on pot, all while crack, meth, and heroin were all still being transported and consumed on a regular basis. Even worse, this enforcement seemed to be racially motivated because despite plenty of traffickers and consumers being white, the majority of arrests were Latino and black youths, all while this bizarre over-focus on cannabis allowed the growing opioid epidemic to go unchecked. But thankfully, the US is slowly learning from their mistakes, where today 24 states have legalized the recreational use of marijuana. On top of that, the increased level of research on it has also found multiple medical use cases and can be prescribed to you by special doctors if seen fit. And although the Zaza is still federally illegal and a Schedule 1 drug, the overall perception of it has changed for the better, including in December 2022 when President Biden signed a bill to make it easier for researchers to obtain plants for their studies, which will hopefully accelerate the learning of positive and negative side effects of consuming the Za even further. But all that aside, the overall vibe towards the loud has gotten a lot more accepting, and these days more and more people view the smoking of the grass not as you being a junkie, but the same way as having a couple beers with the homies on a Friday night and watching some WWE. Man, smoking too much is such an awkward thing, especially because of how normalized getting faded has become. Nobody wants to be the guy who kills the vibe by admitting they graining the thaw out. Like, dudes be knowing they approaching their limit, but peer pressure is a bitch. Like this one time in school when we were smacking the paper plagiarism on lunch break, and I could tell everybody was nearing the border between Yodiland and the Upside Down, but this motherfucker Salamander just kept on passing the J, and nobody wanted to be the first one to back out. Everyone kept on puffing and puffing until this one motherfucker just started puking. Like, goddamn. Safe to say, dude probably hasn't smoked again till this day. But you know, that was high school. Most kids weren't on that Wiz Khalifa pack like Salamander. I mean, this dude's parents were barely home, so mans must have just been low-key looking for attention by acting out, but instead all he got was Snoop Dogg's tolerance and all the school thotties daily driving his dick. Some of you might not even know what it feels like when you smoke too much though. Shit, I know I didn't. My dumbass always just concluded that the stuff was laced, which looking back at it now makes me feel like a dinglebop for real. I mean, how you gonna smoke way more than you usually do in a situation you're not super were comfortable in and then blame it on the weed. It's like a drunk driver suing an alcohol brand for making him unable to drive straight. Shit, it's like going to the store and buying too much food and then blaming the cashier for not stopping you. Like, bro, it's not on Jimmy the Plug God. Dude is probably smoking the same stuff as we speak. And yeah, I know sometimes it could actually be laced, but what does telling yourself that help? Like, wouldn't it be better to believe it's not and your brain is just tweaking? Then you could maybe, you know, calm yourself down. Unlike when you've convinced yourself the Plug is a fucking supervillain going around giving his customers schizophrenia. Like, goddamn, son, someone's gotta like the bat signal for real. But shit, I'm out here preaching like I ain't done this myself. Back when I was younger, I did green out a couple times, but since then, I have developed rules I follow to avoid this at all costs. Like, for example, first rule, you don't always gotta get obliviated, bruh. Seems simple enough, right? But back in the day, every time we were smoking, my dumbass felt like I had to get higher than last time. Once the J reached me, I just...
Thanks, bro. You guys got another one?
Bro. No. This is just some basic etiquette too, like everybody wanna get faded equally, but one thing with smokers is they're usually always chill and peaceful, so when you start hogging a spliff, rarely is somebody gonna forcefully take that shit from you. Just next time when you pull up, they'll bag your ass, pistol whip you, throw you in the trunk, and bury you alive next to Mr. Beast. That video would probably have to be on Rumble though. But point is, you don't always gotta be the highest in the room. Second rule, accept your limits. This is low-key the most important and the most difficult, but you might be thinking something like, don't you mean know your limits? No, I don't, bro. Cause I bet most y'all know them. Just when you'll be watching Fulcrum smacking the Benjamin like that bitch be only containing O2, you get a false understanding on how much mofos be actually smoking. Cause you can always do more, but what you can't do is forcefully remove the THC from your system and get less high. So don't be a victim of peer pressure just cause you wanna be cool, fool. But these rules don't mean shit if you don't factor in where you are and what you're doing. Which leads me to the day that made me come up with these rules. The time in my young life when I smoked so much in the wrong place, I was goddamn obliviated. Shit, I smoked so much I had less dialogue options than an Oblivion NPC. The first time I got high outside the comfort of me or a friend's crib, it was the usual business. We were chilling with the gremlins, me, Salamander, and Ricky, smoking up, talking about how we don't fall with school and how we finna make it out the hood. You know, the usual Gen Z shit. When Salamander, being the thotty magnet he was, got a text from one of his female companions inviting to what this motherfucker claimed to be a chill hangout spot. Although I do trust the homies, knowing Salamander's track record, I was a bit sus, cause I seen the places this dude hangs out at. I'll be waking up at the middle of the night to take a piss, then check the snap only to see dudes partying at some straight up trap house bugging off fucking ketamine. Okay, can't say that on YouTube, but let's just say it wasn't weed. Anyway, you know the drill. I don't wanna go, Salamander uses his 99 speech, convinces Ricky, now it's a 2v1, and I fold. Epic victory royale. But I agreed only under the condition that none of us drink nor do anything else but smoke the Lord's loud, because it was a motherfucking Thursday after all, so I wasn't trying to pull up to school smelling like a bum, acting like a depressed middle-aged man from The Hangover. Looking back at it though, that was probably the wrong call, cause, well, you'll see. So we're walking to the crib and Salamander lights up this comically big J that he rolled back at his place with a week supply. While we're almost finished puffing and on the edge of obliviation, I see this super dope house that seems to be having a party, so I excitedly asked Salamander,
Yo, is that the spot? Bro, okay, that place does seem pretty dope.
oh yeah, that's the spot. Glad you fought with it. Some people are kinda put off by it from the initial appearance. Anyway, let's just go in.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. You first though. Where are you going?
What do you mean? The crib, bro. Leave it to Salamander to have you walk through an amazing street filled with beautiful houses and lead you to the only one that looks like Shrek's vacation home. To add to it, me and Ricky were quite frankly bugging. But as I mentioned in the previous rules, that's not always a good thing, especially when you're preparing to go into a house where your brain has calculated a 50-50 chance of being stabbed in the gut by a freaking tweaker with a kitchen knife. In my head, I was thinking, well, hoping for the saying, don't judge a book by its cover to be the case here. But oh boy, I should have judged the goddamn book by its cover and dashed off like Prime Usain Bolt. Cause what we were dealing with was in every sense of the word except not containing any of the actual substance, I think, a crack house. These people were blasting some of the most disgusting music I've ever heard. Shit sounding like the noise a speaker makes when you fiddle with the aux cord. And because I was high, that set the whole tone of my experience there. And shit, I did not know Salamander hanged out with vampires. Most of the dudes there were looking what you would imagine the local bum to be when he was young. I was in total shock. My teenage brain could not comprehend the degeneracy, the idiocy, the overall lack of humanity in that house. And it's not like I didn't try to have fun, but our highness did not mix with whatever the fuck these guys were on. At some point, I saw him pull out a vodka bottle, and they drank the whole thing in 5 minutes dry, straight from the bottle, like they were trying to speedrun liver failure. I attempted to conversate with some of them, but to no avail. I mean, what did I expect though? A drunk person usually isn't on the same wavelength as a high person, combined with the fact these dudes probably just got done sacrificing a goat to bring forth the Antichrist. I was starting to tweak the fuck out. Well, not tweak, I guess. Me and Ricky did have some fun by just bantering about how messed up of a place we had found ourselves in. All of this didn't seem to affect Salamander though, as we spotted him rizzing up a girl we assumed was the one that invited him, but we were wrong in that assessment because 5 minutes later, the girl who actually invited him saw it, went up to him, yelled at him, and then slapped that man so hard it made him rethink his whole damn life. Cause as we were laughing at what had happened, he walked straight towards us and said, "Man,
You guys want to do some ketamine?
nah, he actually told us that this was probably a bad idea and that he's ready to leave if we are. Good thing too, cause if that girl hadn't slapped some sense into him, Salamander might have gone on to do the thing I mentioned like 3 times in this video. So anyway, we went back home at like 2 AM or something, put on some WWE on the TV, prepared to gleep, and got obliviated. Doesn't go much further than that.
Shout out to Volcro.
I don't know about you guys, but it seems like nowadays most mofos would rather breathe mango juice mist than oxygen. I mean for real, vaping is so normalized and common, you'd be hard pressed to find someone who doesn't do it. Like I swear, some dudes don't even have their own vape, but just know everybody else has one and rely on that to fill their addiction. Couldn't be me though.
What you looking at?
Anyway, since your boy is a freshly addicted nicotine fiend, I've experienced firsthand the levels of addiction to this devilish substance, and I hope for your guys' sakes, you've never nor never will touch the stuff. Level 1.
Bro, why would anyone like this?
Your first puff off that awful mango stick, and even though it tastes pretty nice, you probably thought to yourself, bro, why would anyone do this? Just chew gum or something. But then after a couple more puffs, cause I mean you're already at the function or bathroom or whatever, you're like, wait, what's this feeling? I feel a bit dizzy and lightheaded, but I think I like it. And boom, you just took your first step to addiction land. But if you're one of the strong, mythical humans who after that realization also realized that this shit can get bad real quick and stopped, big ups to you, big dog, cause you actually a true G for that. But for most people, it was more like, oh, this is pretty nice. I think I'll visit the bathroom tomorrow as well. And well, that right there is the beginning of the end, cause if you go to that bathroom the next day too, you'll move right on to Level 2, Social Vapor. Well, you didn't stop yourself when it would have been easy, and now here you are. Not a resident in the school bathroom yet, but a frequent visitor. At this point, you still don't have your own vape, cause in your mind, you know that's when you can't make any more excuses. You would be addicted and would have to face the harsh reality. But while you're at this level, mofos will urge you to buy your own one, and well, that's because you're always begging for them quick rips without donating them yourself. Which, although kind of a dick move, if you can somehow take those ego hits of brokey, get your own vape, fool. Ah, it's the quick rip beggar. Without buying your own, you're actually doing good. And to be honest, vape juice costs pennies, and most of the fools who tell you to buy your own just don't want to feel inferior, so they try to get you completely addicted like them. But if you fall under the spell of the Tate fans and the word brokey destroys you, plus, you know, it would be nice to be able to inhale that cancerous mango juice at home too. You'll move on to Level 3. The Dispo Vape Man is here. You bought yourself a disposable vape, cause well, it's the easiest way to get your own nicotine addiction machine without forking up $50 for one of those weird futuristic box things that make them mega clouds. And because of that, your inhaling of mango juice has quadrupled at least, if not hexex mega dupled, which is like 15 times more. I think. I don't know math. You vape on your way to school or work, you vape during that time, you vape on the way back, and you vape when you're home. So yeah, things ain't looking that good. But remember how at level 2 you told yourself, I will admit that I'm addicted when I buy my own vape. Yeah, well, now you're telling yourself,
I just bought one. I'm not addicted or anything. Which will be a recurring theme in the unholy land of addiction. Good news is, this is the point where most people draw some type of line. So like, I can only buy one vape a week, or I'ma slowly start trying to decrease my consumption of cancer. Bad news is though, nicotine is gonna try its damn best to beat that sense of moderation out of you. And if you let it, well, you're going to. Level 4. I'm addicted, aren't I? Welcome to Addiction Land. It's a lot like Yodi Land, except for it sucks balls. And there's monsters and demons and stuff too. At this point, you don't go anywhere without your vape. I mean, for real, the thought of not having it with you makes you low-key anxious. And also, you've abandoned trying to hide your addiction from others. Meaning, before, let's say you went to a family gathering or something, you would deem that a no-vape zone, cause being addicted is something no one wants to admit to themselves, especially the people who are closest to you. But at least you're not addicted to the point of not going to places you can't vape. Because although it is tough not being able to inhale mango juice for an extended period of time, you still have the self-respect to be like, no, I'm not that much of an addict that I'm not gonna go to my homie's funeral cause I can't vape there. I will endure the pain. Unfortunately, the whole addiction is deeper, and you still haven't touched the bottom, so if you keep on inhaling without lowering the frequency of it, you'll move on to Level 5. The depths of hell. Well, you're addicted and your brain has ran out of excuses to make you feel better about yourself. If anyone asks if you're ever gonna quit, your answer will most likely be, maybe one day, or when I need to. The latter being such an incredibly sad and stupid answer that I'm pretty sure the person saying it doesn't even understand how messed up it is. Like, what do you mean? You'll stop when your doctor says you have lung cancer? Bro, it's too late. Here's your chemotherapy brochure. Treatment starts tomorrow. All jokes aside, guys, this is awful. I've heard people say stuff like that, and it really does sadden me that they themselves don't even understand how shitty of a situation they're in. At this point, you have 100% started experiencing awful side effects like smoker's cough, phlegm in your throat 24/7, and overall low energy and mood when you're not inhaling nicotine. The road to recovery is long and hard, but if you can somehow find the courage to start trying to beat this awful, devilish, monstrous addiction, you'll go to Level 6. Recovery. Not much to say here. When you got all the way to level 5, it's gonna be a slow climb down, unlike the lower levels where if your willpower allows it, you can just stop on the spot and go back to level 0. Here though, you gotta slowly go down, cause you have actual side effects from not consuming Nick. But for all my homies who have the courage to admit to themselves that this shit has gotten out of hand, I applaud you and hope for a day where all of us can chill together in peace without having that constant voice in our heads going,
hey, it's been 20 minutes. Time for some nicotine.
And if you're thinking about trying vaping, then please, for me, you, and everybody who loves you, don't. It's awful and lame as fuck. Socializing high. You ever tried holding a conversation while being blasted? It usually ends up being a mixture of trying to remember what the other guy said whilst analyzing the little bit of details that did manage to penetrate into your mind. Just recently, I had a guy come up to me at the store like, should I get the spicy ones or the cheesy ones? Hey bro, what you doing at Walmart? Who is this guy? Ah, yeah, we met at that party a month ago. Oh yeah, I should say something. Yeah bro, just chilling. Just chilling at Walmart?
That's cool that you can just
what does
chill
that
like
even
that.
mean?
My mom just
Should I
died
say
yesterday,
something
and
to add
I
to
don't
it?
know where to go.
No, it's too long
I'm gonna
already.
be homeless soon.
Wait, what's this guy talking about?
So yeah, just been really sad because of that lately.
Yeah man, I get you. But don't worry, cause there's always a bright side at the end of the tunnel, man.
Bright side at the end of the tunnel? My mom just died and I'm gonna be homeless now, so I don't know about that, man.
I'm sorry, bro. I didn't know.
But I just told you 10 seconds ago.
Okay, see you, bro. Hope things get better soon.
What was that guy talking about? I don't know. I think I'll take the spicy Doritos. It's even worse when you blast it onto Mars with a spaceship type of high. Cause I swear, I be getting memory wiped every 5 seconds. Like, I don't want to be mean or anything, but please understand, if you don't get your point across in 5 seconds or less, I'ma be right back to thinking about that one meme on Reddit I saw 2 weeks ago. Bro, I've been thinking about this a lot, and I finally got it. The secret to making endless money is... And that's all you gotta do.
Wait, sorry, bro. I'm kind of faded than a hoe out here right now. So you said the secret to making endless dough was, yeah, man. What I was basically saying was that all you gotta do is start a business involving. So yeah, man, I can help you get started. I've already quit my job and moved to Dubai. You can join me. Move to Dubai? What's this guy on about? I think I'm just gonna leave. So, bro, what you think? You ready to get rich? Nah, man, I don't think that's gonna work. Now, excuse me, I'm gonna go take a shit. It's not all bad though. You gotta love it when you see a homie at the store who's also blasted to the moon. The Zaza makes you connected on a multiversal level like, hey, bro, what you doing? Nothing, chillin'. Funny you say that. I would have answered the exact same way if you asked me that question. Sorry, man. I'm faded than a hoe right now, and I just got hit with that memory wipe. So what you say again? Oh shit, you high too? Duh, I'm at the store. What else would I be? For sure. You trying to hit up that candy section though? Damn dog, you read my mind. Unfortunately, social situations can be pretty tough if you're not an experienced blazer, especially if you're talking to people you want to leave a good impression on. But remember, if you're ever in irreversible trouble and you have no idea what to respond, just say, "That's crazy, bruh, but I'm way too faded right now." I'm sorry, I don't think I quite understand.
I said that I'm faded than a hoe up in this bit.
No, Charles, you're fired.
Vaping versus smoking. Both activities extremely similar to the naked eye, yet in reality, these lung-destroying practices are quite different. The same way smoking za used to be a very niche thing, mostly done by hippies in the 1960s to 1970s, so was vaping in the 2000s to early 2010s. Yet both smoking and vaping slowly but surely took over the world, to where nowadays you'll be walking down the street and see a dude puffing on a strawberry ice guacamole stick on one side, and on the other see a bunch of college kids sitting on a bench eye squinting like they got hit with a flashbang, holding the Teenage Mutant Ninja card screaming, "Blinker!" And although a lot of times a vapor can also be a smoker and the other way around, I'm here to try and figure out which one of these practices is definitively superior to the other, so you can once and for all say to the opposing faction, "At least I don't vape," or "At least I don't smoke." So let's get started with the first category, and that is the effect. This is probably the most important category because if you're going to damage your lungs and throat by inhaling a foreign substance, it better be at least a fun time. Which I think we can all agree this is where smoking and vaping are completely different. With vaping, the high you get, if you can even call it that, is a buzz in your body, lightheadedness, bit of an increase to your social battery, and of course a small dopamine boost. But here's the kicker, you only feel this effect like the first couple times you do it, and later mostly only in the morning on your first puffs. So the action of vaping just kind of becomes a mindless habit where you're doing it not for the effect but just because your body is telling you,
"Hey, it's been like 30 minutes, you should really go and rip that 99 Nick strawberry mango punch."
Whereas the high you get from the grass is actually what you're inhaling it for, and although the effects vary from person to person, they usually consist of better mood, increased appetite aka the munchies, laughter, the increased significance of your thoughts, creativity, laziness, sleepiness, etc. But also, these effects are felt for much longer, of about 2 to 4 hours, compared to vaping, which is literally like 10 seconds. So if you look at it straight up, then smoking absolutely takes this category with ease. But then again, for people who are prone to getting paranoid and need everything planned out, the high from the za isn't guaranteed to be enjoyable, cause I mean, you can just green the fuck out. Whereas with vaping, you can't really get a bad trip, cause I mean, there is no trip. You're just sitting puffing on your mango stick doing whatever you're doing. But all in all, I'ma still go with the za on this one. So 1-0 smoking. Now let's look at the cost. Whether you want to inhale Chinese sweatshop chemicals that taste like strawberries or the devil's lettuce, it's gonna cost you. But the question is, which one is more expensive at every level of consumption? Well, let's look at it. Level 1 for vapors would be you just buy a dispo every week or so, which comes out to about $20 to $40 a month. And level 1 for smokers, I'd say it's about the same if you just blaze up on the weekends. So far, they're tight on cost, but now if you move up to level 2, which I think for vaping, it now indicates you're addicted and spending anywhere between $80 to $100 on dispos a month. For the Zaza, level 2 would be smoking up once or twice every night at the end of your day, which although you're technically smoking every day, I don't think you'll be spending more than $100 a month. So looks like smoking is edging it out. Well, that's until the next level, where most vapors probably buy themselves a box mod, which is the equivalent of buying a car instead of taking a taxi everywhere. And on the other end, here's where smoking Zaza can get a bit more expensive. At level 3, you blaze in 24/7, and you're high not just at the nighttime when you're done with your day, but also when you're going through your day. And because of that, your tolerance has gone up a lot, to the point you having to spend over $200 a month just to continue your Zaza smoking, which don't let it get that far. Please, it's really not worth it. And at level 3 vaping, because you can just get a box mod eco nick machine, your costs ain't really go up that much. Shit, it might have even gone down. So basically, at the higher echelon of being a nick fiend, it's much cheaper than being a 24/7 high stoner, which would mean vaping wins, right? Well, technically yeah, but to be honest, is it really a good thing you can puff on your lung cancer strawberry ice machine for so cheap? I don't think so, and honestly, I'm kinda happy about how if you smoke up 24/7, your tolerance will evolve to a point you have to drop a bag every month just to keep up with your dependency. That being said, I'ma have to leave it at a tie here. 2-1 smoking grass. Now it's time for addictiveness. I think this one's a no-brainer. Nicotine is obviously more addictive, right? Well, yeah, but there are some more aspects to this comparison, like the fact even if you're completely addicted to Nick, you can go about your everyday life just the same, cause it doesn't make you slower mentally, nor lazy, nor paranoid. It's just slowly but surely giving you lung cancer. But with Zaza, if you really start abusing that shit, it'll affect your everyday life, cause it can lower motivation, make you less driven, slower mentally, and hazy. But all of that is only if you let yourself get that far, which is much harder than with Nick. Cause the Zaza is just less addictive than the mango stick, meaning with vaping it can literally take just one puff to get you hooked, but with the Zaza it's more like an experience. So although you might have a great time your first high, you won't be in the school bathrooms the next day like,
Yo, you think you can give me a couple puffs off that? Haven't hit anything in hours. Really? Give me that!
okay, it's not that bad, but be wary. Nicotine fiends, they'll do anything for a puff off that elf bar. For real. Anyway, this point goes to the grass yet again because of its much less addictive nature. 3-1 smoking. But maybe this next category will ignite a comeback for vaping. Availability. Nick sticks are sold everywhere, from gas stations to smoke shops to shit, some grocery stores. And on the other hand, the Zaza, if you're in the United States, where let's be honest, you probably are, you can get them at dispensaries or your local Pablo Escobar, the plug. Which unfortunately, dispensaries are more of a luxury that only legal state citizens in the US are afforded, and for the rest of us, we have to deal with the lawless, sometimes sleazy creatures called plugs. I mean, for real, why the fuck do I, a law-abiding citizen, have to deal with criminals on a weekly basis just because I wanna relax and eat some double-stuffed Oreos on a Friday night? But if I wanna get shit-faced drunk and go outside with the homies committing 3 counts of disrupting the peace, 4 counts of destruction of public property, and 58 counts of,
Yo, what's that guy looking at? He got a problem?
then that's totally fine. So I think we can all agree vaping takes this one. 3-2. Now time for a category which will either tie it up or secure the major Tate W for smoking, and that is the community. Vape Nation versus yeah man. Or at least that's the stereotype. In reality, it ain't really like that. Although from my experience, vapors are more extroverted because they're always vaping in a circle in the damn bathroom, chit-chatting about their flavors. And smokers are more introverted and chill, who would rather sit down and play some modded Minecraft with the homies than go to the club. Oh, and if you're looking for a place where you can find more people like that, then why not join the CBD Bro Discord? We also just hit 5K members, so join the revolution, the weed revolution. Anyway, Anyway, this could be biased because I'm a smoker myself, but I personally think the Zaza community is better than the vaping. Although I really don't like grass NPCs who make the Za their whole personality, these dudes are pretty easily spottable and avoidable. But I mean, vapors got the same thing. Imagine standing in a circle, everybody puffing on their dispo, and then some dude pulls out the Vaporizer Ultra 3000i Max fully equipped with 8 flavors, a touchscreen, Wi-Fi, and Bluetooth capability. I think the exact same thing that I do with grass NPCs. That's a bit too much, man. Anyway, 4-2. Smoking wins.
Blazing with people is a lot different than blazing alone. Because whereas being alone, you can just let your mind drift to wherever, if you're with others, you have to, well, at least you should, understand the general vibe and direction of the convos and interactions. Unfortunately, however much you might try to be unbiased, you will discover that there are certain people you will want to smoke with again and will always be invited to the sesh. But then there are also dudes who, after you get faded with once, will leave you contemplating if you ever want to consume that za in a social setting again. Or at least with new people, cause you never know if the new guy will be the dude who gets way too intense about everything. Nobody likes this dude, and for a reason. When mofos is faded, they just wanna chill and be happy, but this gremlin finds it necessary to express his deepest resentment or strongest belief in his personal opinions. The group could be talking about some chill like the fragrance of the ocean or the beauty of the sun, and this dude will start spitting out shit like, man, what a day to get lit. No clouds, sunlight on the skin, it's warm, just great. Yeah, man, you're right. What a time to be alive.
You do know about global warming, right? The day we are having is just a byproduct of the disaster that is about to overtake our planet.
Yeah, I know, but shit, I ain't worrying about all that right now. I'm just enjoying the moment, you know?
Well, you should be. Do you know that people like you are the reason why this is all happening? People who don't care and just do whatever they please.
Hey man, chill. I recycle. Plus, I don't even be driving that much, man. I just be walking around.
Whatever. You do you. Just know you're a part of the problem, not the solution. Like I am. I'm like a part of the solution. I'm really cool.
Like screw you, man. Learn to read the room, Mr. I think like this and therefore you must too. But switching things up, the next guy on the list is someone you definitely want in the sesh. The dude who knows a bunch of random but interesting stuff. Bro, I always enjoy it when a dude like this is in the sesh. Instead of pushing some agenda like the previous guy, he always just adds to the convo in a meaningful and interesting way. Like mofos could be talking about some History Channel shit, and this dude would be knowing all the facts and details. He pretty much like the sesh version of Google, but instead of giving you long paragraphs, he hits you with stuff like, guys, even though it's called World War II, it was only fought in Europe. So why it ain't called Europe War II? What? Nah, but real, I could make a whole video on the stuff I've heard from dudes like this. But the next guy is more of a hit or miss. The dude who rarely smokes. Now, this man either folds under the pressure of the za and just sits quietly observing everybody like an owl, or instead he becomes one with the za and becomes a conduit of it, allowing words to flow from the holy plant itself. Plus, I swear, laughter is contagious, and if a dude like this is feeling comfortable, he always 100% of the time finds everything hilarious, and that good vibe rubs off on everybody, boosting everyone's giggles by a good 25%. But as I said, he kind of a hit or miss, so if he doesn't allow the za to flow through his veins, he'll just sit there quietly giggling by himself like Gollum or something. Yet, you shouldn't hold it against him, cause I think we've all been there, overwhelmed by the power of the green magic. But this next guy is the exact opposite and the universally hated dude at the sesh. The fool who hogs the s***. No one likes a greedy spliff hogger, especially if he himself did not bring any to the sesh and is just riding on the other's hard-earned Zaza. The excuse this dog always has is,
my tolerance is much higher than all yours, so in reality, we're all getting the same amount.
And I mean, yeah, technically, but still, that's on you. If you haven't been managing your tolerance and been abusing the za to the point you need to smoke the whole spliff of premium backwood to feel something, then you better bring extra stuff to the sesh. And if you can't afford it, well, start a GoFundMe or something, you goddamn parasite. Shit's pissing me off just thinking about it. But this next guy definitely won't piss you off. In fact, when this dude is rumored to be at the sesh, it's always a must-go. I'm talking, of course, about the plug. Now, you might be wondering, why is this guy so great? Why is it a must go when he is at the sesh? Well, the answer to that is he is the plug, and therefore has a shitload of Zaza, and the best part being it's usually all free. Bro, I've smoked with the plug many times, and they always bust out that exotic stuff for everybody to enjoy. And honestly, that's just a part of it, because this guy knows a lot about the magic green plant, and I swear, the best thing to talk about when high is Zaza, how it's grown, the differences in strains, the differences in effects. It all becomes 200% more interesting when you blazed. And on top of all that, you know for 100% sure that this dude will never freak out nor ruin the group's vibe because he got too high. Shit, my man might freak out for not being high enough.